Good evening, everybody. I'm just trying to make sure that I don't have an echo in the background. Yeah, it is causing one, so. Okay, guys, I think that's better now. Let me just close this so I can get you guys on my screen. Okay, sorry about that. It's always something when it comes to, technical stuff with me. Let me start my camera. Let me actually get this picture up before I do that. That way I don't scare y'all tonight because I'm just got out of the shower and I am not dressed to impress. But we do have some people in the chat. Hello, welcome. If you guys have never been to my channel before and this is your first time stumbling across this magical channel, it is a true crime channel. We are on YouTube, obviously, so go ahead and join if you would like. I do have just a couple little things I have to do really quick, but it should only take 1 second. I swear I was prepared. You could be literally so prepared and then you get on your live and you're like, oh, nope, needed to do something. So I just want to be able to chat with you guys while we're doing the live. So I'm just getting it ready. If you guys want to, you can go ahead and tell me where you're from in the chat. Tell me what time it is where you're at. Tell me what the temperature is where you're at, because it's freezing where I'm at. But I'm always hot, so that doesn't matter to me. And then I do have it on subscriber only mode. That's just, it helps with the bots and the spam that comes in through the chat. It really does help. I don't have mods, so it just helps the girl out. So you only have to be subscribed for a minute though to join in the chat. We'd love to have you. I just do that, like I said, it's just easier on me and on everybody. So how is everybody's Wednesday? We are in the middle of the week. Tomorrow is Brian Kohberger's court date for the Moscow, Idaho 4. We've been covering this case since it happened on November 13th. I'm sure everybody knows about this case, so I probably don't need to give you guys the little details. But this morning on our live, we were looking up the date and time for the court date tomorrow. They said that it was supposed to be tomorrow. I thought at 10 o'clock, but that's what I wrote down. So I was like, okay, is that 10 o'clock Eastern Standard, or did you write 10 o'clock? Is that Pacific time? Because they're like Pacific time out there. So it's a 3-hour time difference. So I looked up some stuff, and that way we all know. I'm going to share this tab with you guys. This was updated. So if anyone finds it anywhere else and it says it's something different, let me know. But it says Moscow murder suspect to appear in court for status conference hearing Thursday morning. And then it says right here, the suspect accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in Moscow will be back in a Latah County courtroom Thursday at 8 p.m. Or 8 a.m. I'm sorry, 8 a.m. Is there no sound? Let me see. Is it not coming through? No, there should be sound. I had to turn up the, I turned up the iPad beside me. Oh, speaking of earbuds though, let me grab mine really quick. You just reminded me, because if I do panel, I may need them. If not, I'll grab them whenever we need them, but I will drop the link in there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and drop the link in the chat. And if you guys want to come up on panel, you definitely can. We can just talk about the case, things like that. I have some stuff I pulled so we can watch some like videos, some clips, go over it, all that good stuff. Did you guys get to see earlier? I did a lot of videos the last couple of days. So I've done like 6 videos the last couple of days, 2 lives or 3 lives. So if you need content to watch, your girl's got you covered. Every case under the sun, it seems like I'm covering now. So earlier today, we thought that I don't know if you guys were in here earlier or not, but if you were, maybe. If not, then if you weren't in here earlier, then you don't have any idea what I'm talking about. But earlier today in our live, we thought that the court hearing tomorrow was I thought it was at 10 a.m. So then we thought it was at 11 a.m. So I scheduled the live tomorrow for 10:15 a.m. Well, then earlier someone was like, well, maybe it's at this time. So I'm like, I was all confused. So I'm just going to make sure everybody looks at this with me so that we all know that I'm not going nuts. So it'll be Thursday at 8 a.m. So it'll be 11 a.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time. So if you're Eastern Standard Time, that'll be the 10:15 live that we're going to do. So it'll still be 10:15. We're still going to do the same live that we were. I was just like, oh my gosh, am I all mixed up? So I was trying to hurry and do that right before I came on too. So that's why I'm like, I'm not with the program. Because I was like, okay, I need to make sure that we have that right. And then last time, I think we streamed it through like Law and Crime. I wanted to write that down. And I need to turn my phone up too. Actually, I already wrote that down. Oh my gosh, I'm going nuts, guys. Oh, you can hear now? Good. Okay, good, Lee. I just like spilled that out of my mouth. That's cute. Oops, I just hit the mic too. I'm like, I'm a mess tonight, guys. But that's okay. When am I not a mess? So like I was saying, I did some videos earlier. So I did one over Maddie Mogen's father. He came out and he spoke out again since the arrest. This is the first time since the arrest that he's spoken out. And I think that her dad is just the sweetest. Like, he is literally the most broken man. Like, I feel so bad for her dad. I just think that he is the sweetest guy. He, in the interview that I was watching, I'm going to try to pull that interview for you guys too, so we can watch it. I think I do have it. He calls her Maddie May. And like, I just like almost lost it when he called her that. Like, it was so sweet. So hello, language of horses. And hello, everybody else. I was like, not hello, everybody else. I didn't even go through the chat. But I don't know where Susan went. She must have left, and she'll be back later. And Sandra, is that right? Chandra? Did I pronounce that right? ALR said he could hear. Amy D can hear me fine. Okay, that's awesome. That's good. Because I had a mic. Oh, actually, my cat's over here too. Look at him debuting. He's making his debut. He's 14. His name's Rocky. After the movie, yes, of course. He never comes in here, so I shut the door on him so he would stay in here with me tonight. That way you guys could look at him, but he's on the opposite. Like, he's on the opposite side, so he's kind of messing up. He's kind of messing up there. But so I don't know if you guys have seen this. Yes. No, that's okay. Beverly Lawyer says, sorry to name creators, but Crime Circus tells briefly a law animation also. Yeah, no, I actually just started following Crime Circus recently, and I really, really like the content. I do. It took me a minute to get past the spiders, because everyone's like, he has spiders on his face. And I'm like, what are you all talking about? And for the life of me, I didn't know if those were tattoos or if he did that all the time. So does he do his makeup for every video like that? Because if he does, then he deserves every subscriber that he has, because that is dedication and that takes a lot of time. I pronounced it correctly? Oh, good. I'm usually pretty decent sometimes at names. The harder ones, it seems like I'm good at. It's probably because my name is Tanya. It's Tanya. So all throughout my whole childhood, I got Tanya all the time. So, okay, I'll go ahead and show you this. This is her father. This is the Daily Mail, but he went on, I think it was Good Morning America, and he talked about just the case and how he feels about now that the suspect is, supposed alleged suspect, but yeah, he's in custody, and that just about how he feels about it. I don't know. I just thought that it was really sweet, and I figured we could watch it. I always try to do something like in the beginning of the videos or like at the end of the videos, nice for like the victims, because they are more important. And I spelled Brian's name wrong a couple times. I was spelling it like Brian Eaton, and for some reason I knew that in my head, but in the back of my head. So I fixed it earlier, but I think I'm going to go back and I'm just going to spell it wrong on purpose. Just because I feel like to someone like that would piss him off, that me spelling his name wrong. Like, instead of with a Y, I'm going to go back to spelling it with an I. Just because, like, I'm just going to be petty like that, because he's petty. But here's the little video. make sure I'm not like blasting this in your ears.
Now to the Idaho College murders investigation. Brian Kohberger, the suspect, is due in court tomorrow as students return to classes. And investigators share new details about what he was doing before his arrest. Mola Lengi joins with the details. Good morning, Mola.
Well, good morning, George. Those new details are shedding light on how investigators say they were able to link Kohberger, the 28-year-old PhD student, directly to the crime scene and the murder weapon.
This morning, as the suspect accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students prepares to head back to court, new details emerging about Brian Kohberger's actions before his arrest. ABC News learning from a law enforcement source that federal investigators observed him in Pennsylvania around 4 a.m. as he discarded garbage in his neighbor's trash bin just days before his arrest. Trash ending up being key in the case. Police linking Kohberger to the murders by collecting his father's DNA from trash outside the family home and matching that to DNA they say they discovered on the button snap of a knife sheath that was on the bed next to the body of victim Maddie Mogen.
If I had 1 or 2 words to describe Maddie May, it would be just an angel, and that she just made me proud.
Ben Mogen speaking about his daughter Madison to ABC News and describing the moment law enforcement told him they'd made an arrest in the case.
And he said, "Ben, this is the day that we've been waiting for."
Ben also describing his emotions while reading the evidence law enforcement say they had gathered against Kohberger.
I broke down, and I just cried. I could only take so much of that, and I cried. I still haven't read the rest of it.
The police affidavit claiming investigators believe the 4 college students were killed between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. They say one of the surviving roommates was awake at the time of the murders and told police she witnessed the intruder, seeing a masked man coming toward her before he walked out through a sliding glass door. The roommate then locking her door. Police say later that morning, the 2 surviving roommates called friends to the house because they thought one of the victims had simply passed out and wasn't waking up. The 911 call finally coming around noon. Officials say the 2 surviving roommates are not suspects. Overnight, Kaylee Gonsalves' sister, Olivia, saying Kaylee and Madison did everything right that night.
They went out together. They called for a ride. They went to a known establishment. They did everything you would want your daughter or your sister to do in that situation. You're supposed to grow up together. That's your God-given best friend. And so we're left with not only missing them and exactly who they were, but wondering who they were going to become.
On the University of Idaho campus, second semester classes began this week with heightened security. Meanwhile, Kohberger, who was extradited back to Idaho last week, is scheduled to be in court tomorrow morning, guys.
Okay, Mola, thanks.
Okay, so yeah, I feel really bad for her dad. He hasn't even been able to read the whole affidavit yet, and I can understand that completely. I probably would never want to read all of that unless Brian ends up, going through the whole system and prolonging this and, pleading not guilty. And then the family has to go to court and they have to hear the details of this. I pray that he, he finds it in his head, because he don't have a heart. So maybe in his head that he'll find it, that it's the better idea maybe to plead guilty. Maybe once we'll have all the evidence and all that. So, hey, Heels. So bizarre not calling the cops. It really is. I've been through, and I said it on a live, and I went through my story and how I've been through something traumatic and I've been able to fall back asleep. But it is a long time. It is. I just don't know. I think that her brain, maybe she was just so young. I was 22 when I had my traumatic, incident happen with me. And she's 20, I think, or 21, 20. But you never know. Someone's mindset to be able to shut it down like that, she's not going to be able to shut it down like that ever again. Ever again. I think that somebody was actually showing pictures of her. I think that the paparazzi or somebody is like those kind of people, news media or somebody are camped out in front of Dylan's home right now, like in front of her parents' home, and they got pictures of her like going to check the mail or something or walk the dog or I don't know. I just didn't want to look at them because I was like, this is just that's not fun to look at. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat just in case anyone wants to come up and talk about the case. Lee said, I think he'll plead not guilty to prolong all the trauma. Yeah, I feel so bad for Maddie's dad. Me too. I think that, he can't take that. Like, you know what I mean? He's just, Yeah, she only saw a guy though. Yeah, she didn't see a murder. Yeah, she didn't know what she saw that night. And, like when they keep describing the mask and like, just like a face mask, she probably just thought it was somebody just walking through the house. Like, I don't even think that really it might not even have like went into her mind to even think that way. I know that when I was that age, I wouldn't have thought that. Living in a home full of that many people, I lived with one girl for 2 weeks and I moved back home. I could not live with any girls. I lived with one girl though. And she was always so noisy and so messy. So it was always like, we were always like, I was locking the door or turning up, the radio a little bit louder, or what really was like, she wanted to party all the time and I had to wake up and go to work, and she didn't have to really go to work, like go into work. So, and this was like forever ago. So she would just want to party all night and I couldn't do that. And so there were times, I would have to like, put something in my ears. So I can understand Dylan not noticing right away that there was, trouble that she saw. I really don't think she saw I think she thought she saw something else. Like she just saw a guy. She might have even thought the guy was like, in reality, she might have not noticed like when she first saw the guy, she might have thought, oh, maybe that's Ethan. But then when she had to come back and realize who it was and she started thinking, maybe that's when she realized, wait, that guy had bushy eyebrows. That guy was like this guy was like this. We don't know, or she might have thought it was another guy that's been at the house before. But I don't know. Do you guys think that he's been at the house before, other than the 12 times that he's like driven the car there? Because there's conflicting stories with that too now. Like her lawyer or the Gonzalez family's lawyer was like, there's not a connection, but I know Kaylee's dad seemed to think there was a connection, and I'm just like, and then the cops are saying that the house was the target, and then the cops said the people were a target. I'm like all confused now. So that's why I was like, we're going to do a little live tonight and we're going to have a little Q&A because we need it. Let me find something else to show you guys. I'm not wearing any makeup or nothing tonight. I take a shower right before the live. My eye was bothering me so bad, guys. I was like dying. Felt like, I shouldn't have said that, but you know what I mean. I really felt like my eye was really dry, and like I had surgery a couple months ago and it just really hurts. It's hard to explain it. When it gets cold, it gets like, I don't know, dry. I don't have the eye drops, but they gave me some eye drops and I used to like them and now I don't really like them. But I shouldn't complain about my eye. Lawyer for Idaho victims. Okay, yeah, so this one. Okay, so this is the one I wanted to show you. Because do you guys remember, like, she said he had a mask. Yeah, so she said that he had a mask that was covering his mouth and his nose. So like when it was described as like a face mask, like that you would be wearing because she could see his bushy eyebrows. Yeah. So no parent should have to go through this. No, I don't think so either. I used to say, like, when I was younger, even like not too long ago, right up until like I really started doing like true crime, I feel like. But I used to say the opposite almost, like, because, as a child, like okay, not a child, but at the time I felt like I was a child when I lost my parents. I mean, I was so young when I lost mine. I don't know. I felt differently. I felt like I didn't deserve to go through that either. Do you know what I mean? Because my parents left before their time. So that's why I felt like that. But no parent should ever have to bury their children. And look at them. Oh man, it's terrible. So so remember whenever they first came out, the cops said it wasn't targeted. Then they said the house was targeted. And then they said they thought the people were targeted. Well, then Kaylee's dad came out and did an interview, and I cannot find the interview to save my soul, but it's the one interview he's wearing the hat and he has on the green shirt and it's buttoned up really tight. That's the one where he said about the internet with the signal. We'll get to that too because I wanted to talk about that. Let me write that down. So now I don't know, what's the target, who's the target, if anyone was the target. But I feel like someone was definitely the target that night. And I feel like it was the girls. It's just so many people are just saying so many different things. So Attorney Shannon Gray said while the University of Idaho victims didn't know the suspect, he wouldn't be surprised if they crossed paths. And I guess some people were talking about a certain store. I don't know if it was a grocery store or what, but they were talking about a store earlier today. Yeah, Heels, you're right. I think that's what she did too. She said, and she also could have had the door barely open because she may have not been dressed. I think what she did was either she cracked the door and looked out, or she had the door open all the way and she was sat back in the door to where you couldn't tell the door was open. Do you know when you have a door like that and it's so dark, if it's pitch black in your bedroom and you have it open, it almost appears as though the door is closed. I think maybe something like that may have happened to where that's why he just kept going too. And she saw him, but he didn't really act like he saw her. Because the way they have it down, wrote down, it doesn't appear like he saw her. But I mean, they didn't have to put that in the probable cause. Oh yeah. I do. Yeah, that'd be great. About the Wi-Fi. Yeah, because I couldn't find I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like, oh my Lordy. Because on the company, this is we have a company now. I do actually have a company, boutique. Different job, Tanya, different job. So last night on the community tab, I was thinking about the Wi-Fi, and I was thinking about what Kaylee Gonzalez's dad Steve said about Brian being so close to the house that his cell phone touched their Wi-Fi. And I'm like, what does that even mean? So maybe we have some IT people up in the chat too, because I asked Vincent, who's in IT, and I explained it to him how I thought it would be. So in order for him to connect to their Wi-Fi, he would have had to have been there before, or he would have had to know their password, their username and their password. And because when you pull up Wi-Fi signal for in that area, and I don't know why he would be so dumb to connect to their Wi-Fi, but if he did, when you pull up your Wi-Fi, you go to Wi-Fi, you turn it on, you're going to have everybody and their brother popping up because you got houses all around that house. And we don't know if they all had different, maybe they might have had different internet. I'm going to be probably 95% sure that there is no way for you to have signal in that basement and have signal on that third floor without having a wireless access point somewhere in that house. So I doubt that they had that. And they probably just maybe even had two different boxes where one person paid one, for a month and one person paid theirs for a month. But I don't know how he would have connected unless because I don't get it, because he would have, if he would have touched their Wi-Fi, then he would have touched everybody's Wi-Fi all up and down that block, all up and down the road. Jack DeCore's right there around the block. I mean, everybody's that lives in that Sigma Chi, they probably show up. You can look at you know what I mean? You can see it from there. I feel like when I pull up my Wi-Fi, I get 15 different Wi-Fis that come up. And I don't know why. So I don't know. Even if he had do you think that he would have wanted to? I mean, I don't know if he would have he's pretty dumb, I feel like, but he turned off his phone the time that he committed the crime because he thought he was being smart. Let's just be honest. He thought he was being smart. He left it on the 12 times he went there because he didn't realize what he was doing. He wasn't going out there to commit a crime that day. The day he goes to commit a crime, cell phone gets turned off. Even later that evening, cell phone gets turned off. Baby girl said, I think they had one Xfinity Wi-Fi, and his phone asked if he wanted to connect like iPhone do. Oh, so would it be because mine doesn't do that. That's mine. I have to physically go into my Wi-Fi settings and then connect to another Wi-Fi. I don't know if you can post it in here. You might be able to. You can post it, Heels, if it'll let you. And then we can listen to that, like that interview of his dad saying that. Because to me, that's just really weird that, because you know Steve likes to give us little breadcrumbs, I feel like sometimes. And he'll usually come out and he'll say like if he misspoke. So I didn't want anyone to think my post was like being mean or thinking like that he was incorrect or anything like that. I just was trying to get a better understanding of it. Not everyone's on the same Wi-Fi. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 11, 13. Yeah, the 13th time. Yeah, he's a mess. While we're doing that, I wonder if he has hacking abilities. Marilyn, that's a good question. That's what Vincent asked me last night. Oh, he just said, because he said, if he has hacking abilities, sorry, I didn't mean to smack my lips into the microphone. That was annoying. He said that if he had like hacking abilities, then he would be able to like hack right in there and get into whatever. But I mean, even if you hacked into the system, what are you going to get? Other than you could get their personal information or something like that, but if you're going to break into the house and kill them, I mean, like, you don't really need their personal information. I'm just so weird. Okay, go to Nerd Addict's last video, not live, and go to 13 minutes. Okay, Nerdy Addict. Let me see here. Oh, I got to get onto YouTube. Okay. And then you said it was the not live. Go to the last video, not live. Okay. We'll just do this. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is it.
Look, your driver.
Oops. And then it was... I have like everything. I have so much stuff opened up on my computer. It's crazy. So yeah, because I just want to hear it for that one little part. Oh yeah, there he is. I literally looked for this thing. Is this not on the internet anymore? Like, is this scrubbed from the internet? Because I could not find it anywhere. Okay, and then I'm gonna drop his link into the, into the chat. That way you guys can go to his page and watch this video. And let's see
how close that is if you've had a lap.
Oh, let me go back a little bit.
They had removed the video off of YouTube, which is odd, but nonetheless, we have it. Eva went to their website, grabbed it. We're going to play it, and we're probably going to play it twice, but let's watch, let's listen. And
that makes sense.
For me, it means several different things. We'll discuss that, and then obviously want to hear from folks out there. We'll open up the phone line. We have one case that I want to get to tonight as well, so here we go with this.
Makes you sick. It's sickening, I'm sure, to see the information that came out in the affidavit about how he had been by the house multiple times prior to the murders as well. I don't know if you guys knew that early on.
Yeah, and close enough that he was touching their Wi-Fi, that his phone was touching their Wi-Fi. Yeah, so you know how close that is. If you've had a laptop, you walk out to your front yard, you're not going to get too far.
So man. Hey, JM420. So what do you think of that? I don't know now. I'm just really like, that's what Vincent was saying, the VPN. But like, because I don't know a lot about like VPNs. He tells me not to worry about having a VPN because I'm always in the house and we have like, I don't know, he's an IT guy. But he said that if I were to be outside of my house though, like if I were to go to like Starbucks and get on Starbucks Wi-Fi, like that would be really bad. He wouldn't want me to go. He's like, don't do that. He makes me use like our own stuff. So, but yeah, I think that he either that or they were able to somehow triangulate and ping, and it was able to like, you know, maybe every time you do go near a Wi-Fi signal, maybe it does get your phone a little bit. I don't know. He might have, yeah, all I can say, Hill said all I can say is he may have been trying to connect to her Wi-Fi. He could have been, maybe he wanted something like personal, her information, her pictures. I think when it says touches their Wi-Fi, it means that his phone picked up the Wi-Fi. If you notice, sometimes when you go in a friend's house, your phone will pick up their Wi-Fi. Yeah. So I'm wondering if he's been there before. Like, I'm wondering if he has been there at a party and he connected that Wi-Fi at a party before. Do you know what I mean? And then when he went back into that area, he connect again. Like he reconnected, because normally the first time you connect like to anybody's Wi-Fi, when you go to their house, you have to manually like go into your Wi-Fi and it'll like drop down all the little things that you can pick from, and you pick it and then you put their password in and you join. If they don't have like a guest Wi-Fi or something. Oh, it will? I have an iPhone too. This gets creepier every day. Yeah, Summer Watson, it does. Because we keep finding more stuff, and I've been going through the probable cause, and we're gonna do a live on that. We're gonna do a live tomorrow on the court hearing and everything, and then maybe like tomorrow night or the next day. I've been like doing like page by page, and I stopped the other day because we did Madalena's case this morning with 46 pages of affidavits to read through, so I haven't read through them, but there's just a lot of good stuff. There's just a lot of good stuff in there. The way that, I mean, like not good stuff, like there's a lot of information if you look in between the lines. Like, just where people were placed in the house, or where people getting food at a certain time, or their cell phones being in a certain area, or what they were hearing, all of that stuff. So we looked it up. As soon as I got on here, I'll show you. It is tomorrow at 8 a.m. So we will have a live on my channel at 10:15 a.m. It's going to be 11. It'll be 11 a.m. Sorry. So it's 8 a.m. That's Pacific time. They're like, yeah, Pacific. And then it'll be 11 out here. And this was from today. So. And then I wanted to, let's see. And then have you guys heard that Nancy Grace is outside of the house now? She's out there. So Miss Nancy's out there. I wanted to see what she's been saying. With all the parties, I bet they did have guest Wi-Fi. I bet you're right, Heels. I didn't even think about it really, because them being kids, you know what I mean? Like young adults, they probably are not they're probably not worried about somebody stealing their Wi-Fi or something. Do you know what I mean? So they're probably just like guest Wi-Fi for everybody. She must be freezing. She's out there. I was like, we've had the same password forever. Maybe I should change mine. Kohberger done pissed Nancy off. Yeah, she did. Yeah, he did. And she's down there to see him. She was standing in front of the jail. She said Kohberger's home. I was like, oh my gosh. So it'll be it'll be 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So 10 Central. And then I'm going to do my live. I'm going to start it at 10:15 tomorrow. That way we can just get in, get situated, say hello, talk about the case before he goes into court, make sure we can all stream it, and it's live to stream, and we're allowed to do all that. And which I think it's going to be open court. Or not like open court, but I think that they're allowing cameras and everything in. And then, this is actually something I didn't need to show you that anymore. And then I wanted to show you guys this. This was Nancy's. She retraces Idaho murder suspect's footsteps in Moscow. It says 10 a.m. Pacific. Well, then how come it says 8 a.m. on mine? Right here. Like, this is Idaho 6 News. Someone help us out, guys. And then that's why I pulled this up when I first got on, because I was like, okay, I want to make sure. And it was posted today at 11:55 a.m., January 10th. Last updated at 5:34. The suspect accused of killing. Is it on the docket that you're looking at? Maybe that's what I need to be looking at. Because it says 8 a.m. Because I know that they did change it. They did change the time. So it was something, I don't know what it was originally. Maybe 10. And then they switched it. I remember this morning in the live, that's why I was like, wait, I think they switched the time. Okay, that's what it is. So they did change it from 10 to 8. Okay. So yeah, so tomorrow is good. We're going to be having the live at 10:15 a.m. I already have it like on my page and everything too. So, And if you guys are just now joining us, don't forget to like the video. We are talking about the Idaho 4 case. We're just kind of going through some new interviews and just discussing the case. If anybody wants to come up on panel, you guys are more than welcome to. I can throw the, oops, I just hit the wrong thing. I can share the link. And then I'll go ahead and play this too. Hey, not so dumb blonde. Idaho is, yeah, it's Pacific. Yeah, so they're 3 hours behind me over here at Eastern Standard. Oh, no, that's okay. Teresa, I just wanted to make sure we were all getting it at the same time because I don't want any of us not getting it. Because then we'd be so sad. So I'm Eastern Standard Time. So let's think. This will be better. It's 8 a.m. Pacific. No, it'll be 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. Mountain, 10 Central, 11 Eastern. So 8 p.m. Pacific, 9 a.m. Mountain, 10 Central, 11 Eastern. And I hope I said that right because I was kind of quick, but I think I did.
Or University of Idaho students due in court tomorrow for a status hearing as prosecutors continue building their case against him. Let's bring in Nancy Grace, host of Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. And Nancy, as I introduce you, I just want everybody to see this new timeline. So people, you might be familiar with some of the timelines of where the girls were, when they suspect that the murders took place. But now there's an update and this question about Brian Kohberger's car caught on campus at 5:25 a.m. at WSU. That's an additional piece of information. Nancy?
Yeah, you know what's really interesting about that? Last night, we got in the car in the dark, just as it would have been when Kohberger allegedly was leaving the crime scene, which is right behind me. And I want to circle back in a moment and tell you what I've learned here in Moscow. We got in the car and took the route we have followed along his cell phone pings. Remember, he turned off his phone or put it on airplane mode around 2:47 a.m., we believe. That's the time he would have been leaving his own apartment in Pullman. Then the phone gets turned back on at about 5:30 a.m. as he is pulling back into his apartment, as you just described. But that route that he took, that we believe he took, very, very circuitous. What should have been a 10-minute ride turned into an hour-long ride. It was pitch dark. It was very much in no man's land. There was sparse housing along the way. And this is what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if that's where he got rid of the murder weapon. It was not near the Snake River. I don't think that's the answer. But in that long hour drive, is that where we're going to find the murder weapon? And also, I'm wondering if cops are going to match up earlier routes that he took trying to find an escape route. Did he drive that same exact route before, practicing for the night he committed the murders?
Very interesting. And what have you found there as you are there in Idaho on the ground?
Well, I've got to tell you something. It's a lot different than what you can see in the pictures and what you can see on an aerial. Very tight spaces. I mean, I'm right in front of the house, and I'm 10 feet away, 20 feet away from the next apartment. There are clear views into every single window in that home. And also, the partying hasn't stopped. People just seem to go, young kids from college, they go from house to house to house. I get people were in and out of this home all night until the inhabitants would go to sleep. That's what they were doing last night. So it hasn't put a damper much on that. But within the town, everything is very, very solemn. Very solemn.
And how do you feel about the prosecutors' work so far as they build this case against him? Do you think it is a strong one?
I do believe it's a strong case, as we know it from the bare bone skeleton and the probable cause affidavit. I think there's going to be a lot more, and there better be, because there are a million ways to explain away DNA on that knife sheath. He could argue, hey, I was at a gun and knife show. I must have picked that knife up and examined it. There's a million ways to explain away the DNA, but if there's more DNA, if there's another hair in the crime scene of his, no way to explain that away. And also, what's going to be in that car, in that Elantra. Now, catch this. When the cops were staking him out, when they were about to make an arrest, they saw him come out, as you know, around 4 o'clock in the morning and throw out his trash in the neighbor's receptacle. They also watched him extensively clean the inside and the outside of his Elantra. And I'm just wondering, could he have gotten it all? We're heading over to his apartment as soon as I get off with you. And I'm wondering, did he leave notes behind? Did he plan this whole thing out as meticulously as I think he did? And if he did, there will be computer searches. There could be handwritten notes. There could be a treasure trove of evidence in that apartment.
Nancy Grace, there in Idaho, thank you for taking this trip, and you can watch new episodes of Crime Stories with Nancy Grace every single day on Fox Nation. Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, let me just find something else for us to turn this on. So his cheeks, I think they looked really sunken in that picture. Let me pull that up. And somebody did, who was that? Somebody did like a face, like they put a face mask over his face and like had his eyebrows and stuff out. And he does have some really bushy eyebrows when it's like that. Yeah, like this picture. Let me see. His eyes look dark. In the other picture, his cheeks look like more sunken in too. Let's see. So I guess I heard about this earlier. I guess people on social media were freaking out because Nancy set up like a workstation per se. You can see a picture of it like right here. She set up this little workstation like right in front of the house. So I don't mind that Nancy's set up there. She's not doing any harm. She's not yelling. She's not getting anybody arrested. She's not yelling at people driving by. She's just there with her little mittens on. Those little green hand mittens. Who gave her those? Those are cute. Her kid probably gave them to her. He loves the attention so sick. I believe that too. I believe so too. Teresa said that info is going to be mind-blowing. Oh, I hope so. Yeah, she's there for justice. They need bullhorn betting. That's what I was just getting at. That's what they don't need. I can't bring out the big girl mic tonight, Marilyn. The screaming mic. That's my old mic now. Because that mic used to be really loud. I'm like, that's my screaming mic now. So whenever I'm getting testy, I could just scream on that mic. So I wanted to go through Nancy's, like, her Twitter, because she has some really good pictures on here. And it's made me think a little differently about some things. Ooh, and that's another question I have. Okay, so I have some, let me write this down so I don't forget. Okay, so do you guys remember in the article that came out, it came out right after the murders. It was a neighbor stating that when he was walking by the residence the day of the murder, the 13th, the morning of, it was between 8:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. And when he went by, the front door was wide open. So we all just like stopped talking about that. And everybody that knows me and knows my channel knows I was on that front door for like a really long time in the beginning of this case. And I still am. I'm still on the front door. But I'm just wondering why no one's talking about the front door being open anymore. It wasn't in the PCA. I didn't see, unless it was, I mean, unless I, I didn't see it, but I didn't see it in there. I just feel like maybe he could have went in through the front door. But this back is very dark. Like, so you guys know around the corner, like I said, and up here, it's very, very lit up. Like, I still completely think that. And I'll play the videos too really quick. That way you guys can watch them. But I want to make sure that doesn't blast you guys in the ears.
I'm here behind the murder scene right now, and you can see straight into the girl's place. This is the parking
I'm going to let it play a couple times too.
lot we've been hearing about right behind their home. I mean, it's right here. It's a lot tighter and a lot smaller than you think. And just looking up here, I feel like you can see straight into their home. These girls never had a chance against a predator. I'm here behind the murder scene right now, and you can see straight into the girl's place. This is the parking lot we've been hearing about right behind their home. I mean, it's right here. It's a lot tighter and a lot smaller than you think. And just looking up here, I feel like you can see straight into their home. These girls never had a chance against a predator.
I was muted. Okay, so I was saying, if you like see the front and around the corner, that is really lit up. Like if you're going right up to the back slider door, it is really lit up. But if you were to go down the hill, like, over here to the side and just like shimmy down that hill and then maybe stayed against the back side of the house, I think that you would have been able to maybe get over there a little unseen, but it's still really bright at that back door. And in the front of the house, the front door isn't very bright, I feel like, compared to the back side. But here's a better picture of it. Like if he would have came like back through here, then I think, And look, the trash can is fallen over now, and they still have yet to collect any of that trash. I don't know why they didn't collect any of that trash. Riddle me that one. Because if I was running and I needed to throw a knife somewhere, right down on the side of that trash can would have made perfect sense to me, but I was trying to read your comment. Sorry, I got a little quiet. Yeah, I think that when people are, and that's another thing that a lot of like people were bringing up, and it's been out, since the affidavit came out, but something about if they process his house, it could have like something in it that could be like, that could hurt people or something. I was thinking that could be like manufacturing stuff, but I don't know. I heard like something about it, and then I saw something about it in the PCA. I don't even know where mine is. I can't remember exactly where it was listed. He took that knife with him. Yeah, I think so too. I think that he did. I just don't know why they didn't take that trash. I just don't understand that though. Like, cause that trash was up by the back door. And maybe they didn't take it because they were like, well, it's contaminated. But still, you never know what's in it. Oh, yeah, no, she will hug Steve tomorrow. Yeah, she's going to be at court. And he'll be there too. And man. Yeah, he did. Brown eye girl or brown eye G. He did apply for the internship, and we don't know if he got it or not. I'm assuming that he didn't get it. Do you think that could have been what set him off? Because does anybody actually know if he got that position or not? Because I don't think that he did. I don't think he got that. So the screen's on the ground. So that actually was on the ground prior to this happening. So we did a live a while back on it, and I don't know. Someone had a video actually up. It wasn't a YouTube creator. It was like an actual news place. Let me see. I just can't remember. Oh, wait, here it is. Okay. So let me see if I can find it really quick. Okay. Okay. So let me share this with you. So the screen is down right here. This is a video that was taken in, in August. So this was after a noise complaint had come through, and they were just going to tell her, hey, stop it with the noise, or it's going to be like a $300 ticket. Cops were cool about it. She was cool about it. But you can see in the background that the cinder block is back there, and the screen. I think it just got knocked over because they were probably messy. They probably didn't care. I'm glad Nancy's there too. If he pulled me over, I'm running. Yeah, I wouldn't stick around either. But then again, that girl came forward with the Tinder. That was his Tinder date at one point, and she said that when she went on this date with him, that they went to the movies, and then he would started touching her, and she felt uncomfortable, but it wasn't like anything where it was just it wasn't creepy, but it was just weird. Or I guess maybe a little creepy, but he was tickling her, and every time she'd say, hey, stop tickling me, that he would say, I'm not. I just don't understand that concept of a person. Do you think he called in noise reports? Oh, he might have. Yeah, the noise complaint video, the screen. Yeah, the screen's down right back there too. Yeah. I heard about that, but I didn't see that. That's crazy. I heard that I heard some stuff too, that he was saying things like on the plane to himself, like, I'm okay, I'm doing fine, like reassuring himself. I'm just like, ooh. You can do an internship and be on drugs. It's not being an officer, just volunteering within the department, different things. Oh, okay. I didn't know that I didn't know if he had if he did an internship. I figured they would do some background checks and a drug test and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if he did something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if he had ever impersonated a cop or tried to impersonate an officer or somebody of higher authority before this. I would be very surprised, because he did have that job at the high school or whatever, being security. And that's beyond me. But then again, maybe at the time he was able to do a background check and stuff. I just don't know. Let's see. I think this one's new. But oh yeah, let me see Nancy Grace. So let's go back to her. She got some good pictures. And then there you can see it's more lit up, in the front. So I don't know. It's just so lit up right there. Do you think that he would risk going in that back door? Yeah. Yeah, I think they were over, they said they were there. Well, they were there for another noise complaint, and they said, well, if we do one at one house, we got to do one at the other. So that's when they ended up walking up to Kaylee and everyone's property. But they were called a few different times. That's not out of the norm, per se. Probably shouldn't have been called that many times, but, hello, Ultra Dark CEO. He doesn't know social questions. No, he doesn't. And he could, because of that, we were going into that, visual snow and stuff like that. And I think that can kind of have to do with split personalities. And then I thought I saw something else. You think he walked up like he was a guest? Yeah, that makes sense. He would have to have confidence. 16 minutes. That's like giving him like a broader window, really. I mean, in reality, he probably did it in under that time. I don't know how you can do that in that amount of time and just be walking around the house like nothing's going on. And how did he know that layout of the house like that? Unless you're just that calm. Because like me, I don't know. I'm a spaz, so I couldn't ever do this kind of stuff. But if I even walked into something like a stranger's home, let's just say I just walked into a stranger's home, like, and I was invited, I would still like not know the layout of someone's house. Like I would be like, okay, where do I go? You know, especially if it's built like this home, I would have no idea which way is up. Let's see. What else did I want to show you on Nancy's page? She's got some good pictures though. And then that's her little area, and that's her producer, Kelly. And then the guards, it says outside Idaho murder house late last night, still there this morning at 6 a.m. So they are having somebody guard it because they were just going to have them put red tape up on the door and not have anybody guard it. And then early morning, all quiet there. She looks like she's ready to get to business. Okay, that's not of this case. I thought that was. I did do a video on Anna Walsham today, though, too. So that's out for you guys. That poor lady. And then late last night outside, the Moscow house. Nancy, you need to get a cover for your iPad. You look like me over there. You're going to break it. And then this one said, apartment warrant sealed amid threat to public safety. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. Let me see. Because this came out like a while ago. This came out whenever the search or the PCA came out. So, or I'm sorry, when he got arrested or something, this came out. A judge sealed a warrant pertaining to the search of accused University of Idaho killer Brian Kohberger's apartment. According to, News Nation Now, the documents contained will remain private until March 1st. Police have searched Kohberger's apartment in Pullman, Washington, which is 10 miles from where 4 college students were murdered in November. Per the Daily Mail, the courts have sealed the search warrant as it contents pose a threat to public safety and to the privacy of witnesses, victims, and victims' families, name in the affidavit. But a lot of people were saying like this was new information, but it wasn't. This came out December 30th. And there he is. Let's go back over here real quick. And then here, they were just explaining with the red evidence. So they did put red evidence tape, I guess, on the door. Likely marked time and date whenever Idaho murder scene is entered. This is crime scene tape placed across door sealing it. If anyone enters, law enforcement will know because it breaks the tape. That's all they usually put up. They usually don't have a cop posted outside of every crime scene like that. Let me see. It's hard to read your chats and read that at the same time. He could have just, he could have planned the DoorDash himself. Now that I don't know. The placement of the food is weird, but it's not at the same time, but it is. Like, it's either Zaina took the food in her room and ate it, and then she brought the empty bag back out and sat it there, but it doesn't look like she drank anything out of like the milkshake or whatever that is. And the bag itself doesn't look like it's been eaten out of. Like, it looks pretty put together for being a bag. Do you know what I mean? Normally, if you get food, you take it out, like all the contents out of it, and then you shove everything back in the bag, and then you take the bag and throw it away. Like, even if you're going to throw it on the counter, normally you have like stuff, you just crumble it up or something, I feel like. There is evidence possibly in the car. Yeah, his washing machine, his shower drains. Yeah, very, very true. And they're going to check all that. They're so smart about that. These two women here, their names Whitney and Olivia, they came there to leave flowers for the Idaho victims when Nancy was there. I thought that was nice. And then this is them in front of Brian's brand new home. That's where his home is right now. Why didn't they take the reef? There could be DNA on it. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't, Cheryl. I don't know why they didn't take some of the stuff I think they should have taken. And then this is just the drive from the murder scene to Kohberger's. Like, look at that. There is nothing out there but little hills and looks like a cornfield. Is that what that is? Let me turn it down so I don't, but it looks like a cornfield almost. I don't know. I remember one of the early videos back in November, the investigators were going through the trash by a backsliding door. Oh, they were? Oh, okay. So maybe they went through the trash. And maybe they just left it there. I didn't know that. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Maybe they were. Because I haven't seen that though. But yeah, because I was just wondering about that. I've been wondering about that since it happened. Oh, I went back too far. And then we'll watch this here. This is from an hour ago.
Right across the way.
Let me pause it and turn it up for you guys.
I don't know if you guys could hear it, but just in the background, right across the way, there is a steeple of some sort on campus, just right across the street from campus, and it was chiming the time. And I was just thinking about, as that night went on and those chimes were going every hour after the girls were murdered, and he had gotten away seemingly scot-free. I wish you could feel the feeling here. How would you describe it, guys? It's kind of eerie, and very, very quiet. It's almost like when you walk through a graveyard or you go into an empty church.
Frozen in time.
Like it is frozen in time. Everything is still out. People still have up Christmas decorations. It's like everybody just left the moment these murders happened. I want to go back to you, Cheryl. I really believe police have to shore up their case. They've got to shore it up. You know, you think you've got DNA. The defense could easily argue, hey, I went to a gun and knife convention, and I looked at a lot of knives and a lot of guns. That was obviously one of them. That's not mine. I mean, we've got to find the murder weapon. We've got to find more DNA right behind me in this home or in his Elantra. What do they need to shore up the case, Cheryl?
Well, let's talk about some really good police work we've already seen.
Somebody needs to give Nancy a vacation. Look how red her eyes are. This woman hasn't slept since 2000. Like, look at poor Nancy. She is like exhausted. I bet you, I couldn't even imagine being a journalist like that. Like, she looks so tired, Nancy.
They had his tag number by November 25th. Then the campus police officer spotted it, said, yep, it's here. They had his name before Thanksgiving. So they were already in full swing, even though they were telling the general public, hey, we need your help, we need your help. Once they went into his apartment, I guarantee you there was a plethora of evidence.
Okay, that's all she's given us there. Let me see what else she has on there. Oh, I keep going back to my page. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, though, my handle is @titanium_built. I do post on Twitter a little bit more than YouTube, about the same, but if there's like something easy I can retweet, I'll retweet it really quick. So Let me go back over to Nancy's page because somehow I just got off of it. So is this her doing this tonight? Nancy, don't do this to me tonight. We are live late night at Murder House. Okay, maybe we'll watch that. Shoot. Tomorrow, or should we watch it tonight? Son of a gun. She is Superwoman. She just released another podcast. I think I've done all of her, all of her podcasts. She just knows that I love her podcast or something. It looks like she just put one out. Okay, I'm going to go back up to her and I'm going to refresh the page. You sneaky woman. Okay, let's see. So she took a picture, Moscow Pullman. Oh, I don't even like that. Okay, that sign is creepy. Y'all, don't need any of those signs in my life. Would not want to see that sign anywhere. They had him 14 days after the murders. Yes, baby girl. And that's what I was writing down. So and that was one of the things I have written down about the inconsistencies, like in the probable cause, was when they first told the public about the white Hyundai Elantra, they told us to look for a 2011 through 2013. They had that updated by a few days later. So they updated that from a 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra, but they never told us. They never told the public this information. So how are we supposed to look for the right vehicle? Good thing somebody thought that, hey, this vehicle looks like the one, it has this plates on it. I'm going to call it in anyway. And it was the car. Oh, hello, Jane Doe. I love that name. Nancy's a ball buster. She really is. She really is. And I think that's why I have respect for her. I say this a lot on my channel. I used to not like Nancy. I would say before she had children, I did not really like Nancy. And then she had her kids. It's been a long time since I've been following her, 20 years or so. And I don't know, something shifted in her after she had them babies. She's still hard, but she softened a little bit. And then the death of her fiance and stuff, I think that really just kind of softened her a little bit more. So let's see. Let me see what's going on in the world of my life, and we'll see what we're going to do. I told Vincent, my boyfriend, he had to go an hour and so north. And I told him to let me know when he got up there so I would know when he was heading home, and he never wrote me. So I think that he should be up there by now. Yeah. Well, maybe not. Let me see. We could just do the Nancy Grace podcast tonight. Let me see. I'm trying to think, guys. Let's go here. Let's see what she's doing. Let me go to her podcast. I think I'm going to start a podcast. Because when I'm not on camera, okay, so whenever I have my camera like this, and I'm just talking to you without showing you my face, I feel like that's a podcast in a way. So I thought about starting one. Oh, maybe that's what it was. Nancy nearly passed away from having the twins. She had blood clots in her lungs after delivering the twins. She has been through so much. Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. I bet you that's what it did. It softened her. I mean, I just knew her kids just softened her up anyway. Oh my, me too, Jane Doe. That's what we're going through right now. We're going through things that, okay, so one good thing about my channel is I swear something always happens, breaking news or something always comes upon us in our lap. So I should start a podcast. I was thinking about it. I think it'd be a good idea. And then I don't know if you guys have heard of this before, but it's called what is that called? It's called the Clubhouse app. It's like a room. So you get rooms in this little, it's like chat rooms almost. and anybody can come in and they can start chatting about the topic at hand. So I thought about even doing something like that on the Clubhouse app, and then putting in like true crime, and then we can even break it down to like each case. And then if you guys are wanting to, if it's like 3 PM and I'm, on the podcast and I'm not on YouTube and you guys want to listen in, I mean, you guys could do that. Because I think that would be fun to do a podcast. Okay, so he's like 42 minutes away. Okay, what the hell? Let's see. Let's just see. Okay. We have 149 people in here. Should we watch the podcast? I might get demonetized for this one, but I'd probably do it anyway. Because you know me, I like to do it. So put a 1 in the chat if you guys want me to stream the podcast. I can do that for you guys. Also, while we're waiting, I forgot to let you guys know, we are trying to hit 5,000 subscribers on my channel. Once we do, we get to do our next giveaway. So I have a live count going on. Let me show you. So we're at 3,992 right now. And we literally climbed that in like no time at all. We'll probably be at 5,000 within the next few days. Hopefully. I have good faith. But it is updating in real time. So if you guys want to subscribe to the channel, the numbers will go up. If you guys unsubscribe, they'll go down. So don't go unsubscribing now. That wouldn't be good. Let me get on this and let me just make sure I got everything up that I need. And we'll go ahead and play it. I just need to make sure I have it in there. So live now. Yep, that's me. I didn't mean to share that one, but whoops, go back over to here. Where's Nancy at? Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah, we're just going to play her. Me and Nancy should be friends at this point. She needs to be my new best friend. There it is. I'm like, where did it go? So it just says up here, Nancy Grace travels to Idaho to the home where students Ethan Chapin, 20, Madison Mogen, 21, Zaina Coronado, 20, and Kaylee Gonzalez, 21, were killed. And it says, listen as Nancy describes for you the places in Moscow important to this investigation and the eerie atmosphere surrounding the neighborhood and the murder house. As investigators gather the details of the case, the search for the murder weapon continues. And then let me turn this down so it doesn't blast everybody in the ears. Make sure, everyone smash that like button, leave your DNA all over it. That way more people will come and they'll join the chat. And before I play this, I just wanted to actually change something really quick. That way. I'll just change this one word. Okay. I don't know why, but some of the messages, it makes me, like some of the messages you guys send through it, like in the chat, that's why I always have to have this here, because on my iPad, it'll make me approve them. Some of them I'm like, okay, that's like kind of weird, so I'll approve it. But some of them are like, hit the like button. I'm like, I shouldn't have to approve that. That should always be approved. So let's go ahead and listen to Miss Nancy. And I'll turn it up a little bit as I go.
I'm Cheryl McCollum, host of the brand new Cold Case
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. Hi guys, we are here in Idaho, camped out right in front of the murder scene. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. We specifically wanted to come here at night to see what the killer saw. And I've just got to tell you, I'm completely blown away. It's so different than anything you see in the photos or the aerial shots we're seeing on TV. I just went up this hill behind the murder scene, behind the murder house. And I took a video on my phone. And Jackie, could you play the video I just took a few moments ago?
I'm here behind the murder scene right now, and you can see straight into the girl's place. This is the parking lot we've been hearing about right behind their home. I mean, it's right here. It's a lot tighter and a lot smaller than you think. And just looking up here, I feel like you can see straight into their home. These girls never had a chance against a predator.
They really did not. Guys, again, thanks for being with us. I want to go straight out to a special guest joining us. Joining me is Chris McDonough, director of the Cold Case Foundation. I found him on the interview room on YouTube. Chris, it's exactly like you were trying to tell me. I mean, this guy would have to know exactly where he was going. And the driving here is really tight. I'm surprised people don't wreck just trying to pass each other, going two different ways. The driveway up past the murder scene and circling around the murder scene to the back parking lot that I'm talking about, it's very hard to imagine two big SUVs passing each other. The streets are very narrow. There's snowbanks all around us. The pavement is slick with frozen ice. But the thing is, Chris McDonough, you can look straight into their bedrooms. You can see everything.
Yeah, Nancy, and to think, as we've been discussing on your show for weeks now, this to think about the 12 times his alleged phone was going off in that environment, and then kind of process that with what is he doing? I mean, there's got to be a fantasy process going on here, a voyeurism of some point. I mean, it's that close, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I thought that there was a copse of trees right behind their home. Well, it's not really that much. I would say there's maybe 7 or 8 spindly trees. I mean, that is no impediment whatsoever to a predator trying to look at the girls in that home. We have been out walking the streets of Moscow today, and we went to the Mad Greek. When we first walked up, I wouldn't say it was a somber atmosphere, but it was really quiet and low-key, almost peaceful. And when we walked up, there is a remembrance of the 4 victims out front with candles, and people are adding flowers. And inside, I just sat there and listened to the music they were playing and took it all in, and I could just see the girls working there. I saw their co-workers, and I wonder how much their murders have torn the fabric of this community. Also joining me is Cheryl McCullum, founder and director of the Cold Case Research Institute and star of Zone 7, a new hit podcast. Cheryl, it's very eerie, actually, walking around this college town. Everybody's so peaceful and friendly. And to imagine that is the backdrop for just incredible violence right behind me. I mean, Cheryl, you must have seen the video of the cleaners taking out bloody mattresses right behind me.
Yes. And I've seen your videos today. And Nancy, what is so important about what you are doing? Nothing takes the place of boots on the ground. And when you were a prosecutor, that was one of the things you were the best at. You would meet us on scene. You would talk to us about this is the crime scene, but what's just over the other side in those trees? what's to the left and to the right and behind us. And what you're able to determine, where was his watch area. And that's something you and I talked about week 1. He watched, he studied, he stalked, and now you're tracing his steps, and that is powerful.
Well, I keep looking off to the side, and right here is the incline leading up to the back of the house. And what's so, how can I say this, probative about what I'm seeing is when you go to the front of the house, you could be spotted. But when you start walking up this incline to my right, nobody can see you. We've been walking up and down in the dark, and there are apartments all around us. I guarantee you nobody noticed us. Nobody could see us. It's not lit up at all. There are no street lights up there. And behind them, it's like a predator's dream platform. You know, to Dr. Angela Arnold joining me, she is a renowned psychiatrist joining us out of the Atlanta jurisdiction at AngelaArnoldMD.com. Angie, I couldn't help when I was up there on that parking lot right behind this home. I thought about a deer stand. I'm not a hunter, but I've seen a lot of deer stands growing up in the country. It's the perfect vantage point to look down on an innocent prey that has no idea you're there. I mean, you can watch them from a deer stand as long as you want, and they'll have no idea. And that's all I can think about up there in that parking lot.
And he did it at least 12 times, Nancy. I mean, he was stalking these girls. It's so creepy and so scary for all young girls going to college everywhere, if you ask me.
Well, the mind of a predator that would go up there and stare at them, and I'm glad you said at least 12 times. I caught that in the PC, probable cause warrant affidavit, at least 12 times. And this is really interesting, and everybody jump in when you have a thought. Cheryl, you know, at the very get-go, I said, listen, this is going to be an exhaustive task. It will take meticulous working, but what they really need to do is a cell tower data dump, which means you get all of the cells that are around the area. Hold on, my papers are flying away. Within a certain couple of hours. And I now find out they did that, but they didn't see Kohberger's phone. And now we know it's because he turned his phone off when he was leaving his home, his apartment in Pullman. And that has been verified by the cell phone records. So he had this thing planned down to a T.
He did, but Nancy, that's going to come back to bite him, because you and I always talk about patterns. How often did he shut his phone off or put it on airplane mode? I bet not very often. So why that night during that time frame? That's a bad look all day for him.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about a lot of other defendants that turned their phone on airplane mode just coincidentally at the time of the murder. And we're seeing that more and more and more. Now, is that Chris McDonough, or is that our friend Josh Fialo jumping in?
Yeah, it was Chris, Nancy.
Go ahead, Chris.
And to think, is it possible that his intent was to methodically monitor these poor victims?
I wouldn't be surprised if he took notes.
Yeah,
what do you think, Kelly?
Exactly.
I would not be surprised if Brian Kohberger took notes, sat up there in his car or on foot and took notes about this one goes to sleep at this time and this one turns off the light at this time. He probably watched them changing clothes, making out with their boyfriends, cooking dinner. I mean, I just wish you guys could be here and see what I'm seeing right behind me. I look straight in their windows. It's very voyeuristic, but it's a crime scene. I feel very odd about looking in their windows, even at a distance.
You know, I'm Cheryl McCollum, host of the brand new Cold Case podcast, Zone 7.
Like I thought it would. But I was reading your comments. No, I think that, yeah, you know, he definitely went back. He went back between the hours of 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. And I believe that there was nothing going on. And so he decided to leave. Maybe he came back again that day, but that's just weird. Like, I'm so thankful for that, actually, for that little bit of a window where they didn't call the police, where it wasn't a crazy crime scene when he first went there, because then that would have just given him some more fluff for him, I'm glad that he didn't get that piece of satisfaction in seeing, them girls break down like they did and their friends break down like they did, and family could have been there. I mean, we've even heard of, we've heard of Ethan's brother maybe was even over there that morning. So we don't even know what he saw. He may have seen a lot more than we know. So every time I see the name B Wizzle, it's making me laugh because my friend back in high school used to call me T Bizzle. So I see B Wizzle, and every time I see someone like write T, like J Lord said B Wizzle, I hate that too. I was like, what? How do they know T Bizzle? I thought someone said my name, my old name back in the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and play Nancy again, but I wanted to tell you guys that also. I don't know if you guys heard this on another channel or if you heard it on mine, but the judge read the names in the affidavit a certain way, and she went Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Zaina. And I'm wondering if that was me and someone else in the chat. Was that you, Teresa, was talking about this? And you said that you knew somebody that clarified that it was. So, okay, the way that they were read off in the docket, and I don't know if that was you, Teresa, so I don't want to throw you under the bus if it wasn't. But the way they read them off on the docket sheet, what I've heard is the same way that they passed away, that they were killed. So Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, and Zaina. And I thought it was somebody, I know it was somebody in this chat, but I don't know if it was anybody that's in the chat right now. So, but I thought it was Teresa, but I couldn't be positive. Yeah, and so, yeah, he has a rap song. Yeah, he definitely has one of those too. My lordy. Okay.
We're going to be talking to family members, detectives.
Nancy Grace. Hi guys, we are here in Idaho, camped out right in front of the murder scene. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us here at Fox Nation and Sirius XM 111. We specifically wanted to come here at night to see what the killer saw. And I've just got to tell you, I'm completely blown away. It's so different than anything you see in the photos or the aerial shots we're seeing on TV. I just went up this hill behind the murder scene, behind the murder house, and I took a video on my phone. And Jackie, could you play the video I just took a few moments ago?
I'm here behind the murder scene right now, and you can see straight into the girl's place. This is the parking lot we've been hearing about right behind their home. I mean, it's right here. It's a lot tighter and a lot smaller than you think. And just looking up here, I feel like you can see straight into their home. These girls never had a chance against a predator.
They really did not. Guys, again, thanks for being with us.
I'm just going to share this other tab with you guys really quick. If you guys are just now joining, we are watching the Nancy Grace latest podcast. It was a little unexpected and unplanned, but she decided to grace us with her presence tonight. Where was I going to show you? Oh, so here. I just wanted to show you guys this again, and it's just the back of the house, and she's just showing, or she was saying in the podcast how it's like a really tight fit from there to where the perpetrator could have parked their car. So that way I could give you a little bit of a visual.
Go straight out to a special guest joining us. Joining me is Chris McDonough, director of the Cold Case Foundation. I found him on the Interview Room on YouTube. Chris, it's exactly like you were trying to tell me. I mean, this guy would have to know exactly where he was going. And the driving here is really tight. I'm surprised people don't wreck just trying to pass each other, going two different ways. The driveway up past the murder scene and circling around the murder scene to the back parking lot that I'm talking about, it's very hard to imagine two big SUVs passing each other. The streets are very narrow. There's snowbanks all around us. The pavement is slick with frozen ice. But the thing is, Chris McDonough, you can look straight into their bedrooms. You can see everything.
Yeah, Nancy, and to think, as we've been discussing on your show for weeks now, this to think about the 12 times his alleged phone was going off in that environment, and then kind of process that with what is he doing? I mean, there's got to be a fantasy process going on here, a voyeurism of some point. I mean, it's that close, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And I thought that there was a copse of trees right behind their home. Well, it's not really that much. I would say there's maybe 7 or 8 spindly trees. I mean, that is no impediment whatsoever to a predator trying to look at the girls in that home. We have been out walking the streets of Moscow today, and we went to the Mad Greek. When we first walked up, I wouldn't say it was a somber atmosphere, but it was really quiet and low-key, almost peaceful. And when we walked up, there is a remembrance of the 4 victims out front with candles, and people are adding flowers. And inside, I just sat there and listened to the music they were playing and took it all in, and I could just see the girls working there. I saw their co-workers. And I wonder how much their murders have torn the fabric of this community. Also joining me is Cheryl McCollum, founder and director of the Cold Case Research Institute and star of Zone 7, a new hit podcast. Cheryl, it's very eerie, actually, walking around this college town. Everybody's so peaceful and friendly. And to imagine that is the backdrop for just incredible violence right behind me. I mean, Cheryl, you must have seen the video of the cleaners taking out bloody mattresses right behind me.
Yes. And I've seen your videos today. And Nancy, what is so important about what you are doing? Nothing takes the place of boots on the ground. And when you were a prosecutor, that was one of the things you were the best at. You would meet us on scene. You would talk to us about this is the crime scene, but what's just over the other side in those trees? What's to the left and to the right and behind us? And what you're able to determine, where was his watch area? And that's something you and I talked about week 1. He watched, he studied, he stalked, and now you're tracing his steps, and that is powerful.
Well, I keep looking off to the side, and right here is the incline leading up to the back of the house. And what's so, how can I say this, probative about what I'm saying is when you go to the front of the house, you could be spotted. But when you start walking up this incline to my right, nobody can see you. We've been walking up and down in the dark, and there are apartments all around us. I guarantee you nobody noticed us. Nobody could see us. It's not lit up at all. There are no street lights up there. And behind them, it's like a predator's dream platform. You know, to Dr. Angela Arnold joining me, she is a renowned psychiatrist joining us out of the Atlanta jurisdiction at AngelaArnoldMD.com. Angie, I couldn't help when I was up there on that parking lot right behind this home. I thought about a deer stand. I'm not a hunter, but I've seen a lot of deer stands growing up in the country. It's the perfect vantage point to look down on an innocent prey that has no idea you're there. I mean, you can watch them from.
I love me some Nancy, but there is no way this guy put a deer stand up in a tree and was looking at them like some deer. He might have been perched up on that hill looking at them, but I don't think he had a tree stand. Oh, Nancy.
From a deer stand as long as you want, and they'll have no idea. And that's all I can think about up there in that parking lot.
And he did it at least 12 times, Nancy. I mean, he was stalking these girls. It's so creepy and so scary for all young girls going to college everywhere, if you ask me.
Well, the mind of a predator that would go up there and stare at them, and I'm glad you said at least 12 times. I caught that in the PC, probable cause warrant affidavit, at least 12 times. And this is really interesting, and everybody jump in when you have a thought. Cheryl, you know, at the very get-go, I said, listen, this is going to be an exhaustive task. It will take meticulous working, but what they really need to do is a cell tower data dump, which means you get all of the cells that are around the area. Hold on, my papers are flying away. Within a certain couple of hours. And I now find out they did that, but they didn't see Kohberger's phone. And now we know it's because he turned his phone off when he was leaving his home, his apartment in Pullman. And that has been verified by the cell phone records. So he had this thing planned down to a T.
He did, but Nancy, that's going to come back to bite him because you and I always talk about patterns. How often did he shut his phone off or put it on airplane mode? I bet not very often. So why that night during that time frame? That's a bad look all day for him.
Yeah, I know. I've been thinking about a lot of other defendants that turned their phone on airplane mode just coincidentally at the time of the murder. And we're seeing that more and more and more. Now, is that Chris McDonough or is that our friend Josh Fialo jumping in?
Yeah, it was Chris, Nancy.
Go ahead, Chris.
And to think, is it possible that his intent was to methodically monitor these poor victims?
I wouldn't be surprised if he took notes.
Yeah,
what do you think, Kelly?
Exactly.
I would not be surprised if Brian Kohberger took notes, sat up there in his car or on foot and took notes about this one goes to sleep at this time and this one turns off the light at this time. He probably watched them changing clothes, making out with their boyfriends, cooking dinner. I mean, I just wish you guys could be here and see what I'm seeing right behind me. I look straight in their windows. It's very voyeuristic, but it's a crime scene. I feel very odd about looking in their windows, even at a distance.
Okay, good evening, everybody. If you are just now joining us, we are listening to Late Night at the Murder House with Idaho Student Murders. It is the Nancy Grace Crime Stories podcast that she's been doing. We've been covering like pretty much all the episodes. We were doing a live earlier and we realized that she had another one come out. So that's what we're doing right now. So if you guys could like the video, that would be so great. Just hit that like button for your girl. It helps the channel grow. It's free to do. And if you appreciate today's case coverage, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fast forward this little part because it's usually a commercial. So let me see.
Together to create memories. Hold on to help me work hundreds of
Christmas. And it looks like they're having a lawn party, which means they drag all.
Let me go back a little.
It brought at the very get-go.
Sorry, guys.
Zone 7. We're going to be talking to family members, detectives, prosecutors, and nationally recognized experts that are in my Zone 7, the group of professionals that I've called on to help me work hundreds of cases you've heard of and thousands you haven't. We are going to solve these cases on air together. Listen to Zone 7 on the iHeartRadio app, the Apple Podcast app, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast.
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace. It looks like across the street, I'm looking right at the Sigma Chi house. It's still lit up for Christmas. And it looks like they're having a lawn party, which means they drag all the sofas out onto the front yard and drink and party. It's like life is just going on. And this crime scene is right in the middle of it all. Now, joining me, guys, is a new guest, our new friend, Josh Fiallo. He is the breaking news reporter at the Daily Beast, and he has been investigating Kohberger's background. What, if anything, Josh, have you learned?
Yeah, we've learned a lot by talking to people who are close to Kohberger at different phases in his life. And what I can tell you, it seems he really took on his current personality during his senior year of high school in Pennsylvania. Now, two of his friends back home told us that he was overweight and really down to earth in his first few years of high school. But then once senior year came around, he really thinned out. And then his personality...
What, over the summer, Josh?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess he was, he was overweight and kind of this weird kid the first 3 years, and then senior year came.
Hey, Josh, you know what else I read? I read that because he was overweight, that people would bully him. And don't get tuned up, Dr. Angela Arnold, that somehow that excuses crimes in the future because you were bullied as a teen in high school. Don't even, because I know where you're going to come from. So I heard that, Josh, that he would be bullied about his weight, and then over the summer leading into his senior year, he got thin as a rail. R-A-I-L was the quote I read.
Yes, ma'am, he did. He was thin as a rail when he came back, and it wasn't only his weight that was different, it was his entire personality. His friends told us that he now, started taking boxing classes, and now he was kind of the bully, not just with strangers, but even within his own friend group. And he would talk down to people, including his friends, and saying like they weren't intelligent enough to be his friend. And he would basically push his friends to shun him from the friend group because he had just became a completely different person from his senior year.
Josh, guys, Josh Fiallo is joining us from the Daily Beast. Dr. Angie, what do you think of that? The bullied turns into the bully.
Nancy, wasn't there also a history of some heroin abuse in him?
Yeah, I've read that. I don't know how much stock to put in it, but I have read that he got on heroin in high school, and then he got off of heroin in a quick turnaround. And I find that hard to believe that you can just stop cold turkey. But
well, you can't really.
Yeah.
Because, Nancy, people that have some mental illness will turn to drugs. Heroin specifically will help you decrease your anxiety.
Okay, I know I'm out here freezing my rear end off in Moscow in front of this house, but I can cut your mic even from here. So don't start up about mental illness. The man is getting a PhD in criminal studies. They asked him point blank in court, do you understand what's going on? Do you have any mental incapacity? He's like, I'm fine. I understand. So you said mental illness. Being a bully is not, oh dear Lord in heaven. Guys, can you look over there? Look, I can see right in that, guys. I can see what he's cooking for dinner. That's how close all of this is. I'm just thinking of him, Dr. Angela, looking right into these girls' kitchen and seeing everything they were doing, keeping notes about what time they would come home, and this one will be in bed by this time. Although I'm starting to wonder. Go ahead.
Worse than that too, Nancy. He wasn't just taking notes. He may have, every time he did that, he was getting off on that somehow. Just the voyeurism was bringing him some sort of pleasure. Okay, it was stimulating him. Okay, I believe he is a psychopath.
Okay, that's a far cry from what you said, mental illness. But I want to get back to what we are seeing here and what is happening right now. There are guards outside the house, and we just saw them change shifts. The house is still being protected. Going back to what Josh Fiallo was saying from the Daily Beast about his personality, Jackie, we learned a little bit more about his past, specifically from a woman that claims she met him on a dating app. Let's start with C. C is in cat. Jackie?
We matched on Tinder. We talked for a couple hours, and then he was like, hey, you want to go to the movies with me tonight? And I was like, sure. So we went to the movies. Honestly, I don't even remember what movie we saw. We ended up going back to my dorm, and he kind of invited himself inside. I thought he was just going to drop me off, but that was not the case. He kind of invited himself inside, and I was just like, okay, I went along with it. So he wanted to watch another movie on Netflix, and I said, sure. He kept trying to touch me, not like inappropriately, just like trying to tickle me and like rub my shoulders and stuff. And I was like, why are you touching me, or what are you doing? And he would just like get super serious, and he's like, I'm not. And I'm like, you are though. And he's like, I'm not touching you. Kind of like trying to gaslight me into thinking that he didn't touch me, which was weird. But then I was like, I'm just gonna run to the bathroom quick. And he was like, okay. And then he followed me to the bathroom, which I thought was kind of weird.
And I believe, Jackie, he mentioned something about she had breeder's hips. Could you play that part?
Like in the dorm, there was like a shared bathroom. He didn't go in with me, but like he stood outside the door and like, I don't know, I just thought that was weird. And I was like, I need to get this dude to leave. Like, just not into it. So I proceeded to pretend to throw up to get him to leave. It wasn't because I was scared of him or like thought he would hurt me if I asked him to leave. It was just mostly because I'm socially awkward. Didn't know how to ask him to leave. So that I did. He ended up messaging me on Tinder that he was gonna go, and I was like, awesome, my plan worked. And then about an hour later, he texted me and said I had good birthing hips, so I never talked to him.
Okay, Cheryl McCollum, director of the Cold Case Research Institute and star of Zone 7. That's pretty bad when the girl has to go in the bathroom and pretend to throw up to get the guy to leave. I mean, something was telling her to get away from this guy.
Yeah, it's that gut feeling. It's that, you know, the hair on the back of your neck stands up kind of feeling. She can say she wasn't afraid, but she certainly wanted him out of there to the point that she was going to pretend to be physically sick. So, I mean, I'm glad she listened to her gut because, again, this guy shows persistence. He's not going to give up. Even when you basically throw him out, he's going to text you back and say something like, you've got, you know, good birthing hips. So, again, you know, it kind of shows where he sees women and how he thinks of them, I guess. But, you know, Nancy, again, I want to go back to where you are and how crucial it is that you are there, because people are saying he had no connection to these people. He never crossed paths with them. And I want to be very clear. There is no way the families or the family attorney can know that yet. They could have crossed paths, not electronically. He could have found a way to go into the restaurant or to force them to meet and make it look like it was, you know, happenstance. But you know from being there, there's one way in and one way out. You don't just happen upon the 1122 King Road.
No, you don't. Once you're in these tight little streets and once you go up that hill, you should have seen our producer trying to back out of that a few moments ago on the ice. You know, when I was sitting in the Mad Greek today, I was actually looking at the menu, and they had something called, Sydney, wasn't it, Kiera's Amazing Vegan Pizza, something like that. I would bet you anything, because, you know, he was a very staunch vegan. He was, you know, crazy about it. I could just see him sitting there. It was a very chill, laid-back place. It was not what I thought it was going to be, like a loud and boisterous pizza parlor. It wasn't like that at all. It was actually almost serene in there. They had music playing gently. Everybody was very low-key. I could just see him in one of those booths having his vegan pizza and checking out the two victims that worked there. Maybe even following them home. It's not that far at all from the scene. Back to Josh Fiallo. Josh, again, thanks for being with us. What more did you learn about his background?
Yeah, so kind of going back to that TikTok video, so that would have been shortly after he graduated high school, right? That's whenever he was in community college studying, I believe it was psychology. Yeah. So, we didn't learn a lot about that from that period in our own reporting. So it's interesting that TikTok video kind of shines some light on who he was at that point in his life, probably.
Think about it, Josh. The woman had to go to the bathroom and pretend to puke to get him to leave. And then she stayed in there until he finally just left on his own, and he texted her, I think, that he was leaving. That's bad.
Can we talk about that, Nancy, for a second?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
So, to your point a minute ago and to Cheryl's, just to dovetail into that, think about him as, ego-driven, because everything is done in the dark with this guy. Okay? And this guy, thank goodness that young woman followed her gut, to Cheryl's point. And that should be a lesson to all young women today, that you're not wrong. You're never wrong. Follow that gut. Because this guy sits back and he was enjoying striking the fear in that young lady. That goes towards his personality that I'm sure the doctor could get into and break down. But I didn't mean to interrupt, Josh. I apologize, but that was my point on that.
Josh, feel free to interrupt him whenever you feel like it. So, Josh Fiallo, what else did you learn?
Real quick on that point, how, she just saw right away after just one date, like how she saw the red flags, right? She knew she needed to get out of there in the middle of the first date. And I found it telling that, all these years later, she said today, the moment she saw his mugshot, she recognized him right away. I mean, how many people do you recognize immediately who you saw one time years ago? He obviously left an impression on her, which is kind of a scary thought. That kind of goes back to, we see that stare in his eyes, even in this clips that we've seen since his arrest. And, people in his past have commented on that.
Hey, Josh, I want to talk to you about what you just said. You said we've seen pictures and clips of him. When you look into his eyes, I've got to tell you, just before we went to air, I pulled up a picture of him, and he was looking at the camera, and I went, look at his eyes. That look. There's just something. You're not the only one that noticed it, Josh. Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's not just you and I. It's been other people we've talked to from throughout his life. Whenever he was in grad school in Pennsylvania, people commented, in interviews to us that he always has had this stare, and we see it even to this day. And, just going back to a little bit that we've learned about him is he obviously thought that he was the master criminal who could, if he was the one who did this crime, as cops believe, and it seems more and more apparent each day, that he thought he could do this perfect crime and get away with it. And he studied criminology. He was studying under professors who written books about the psychology of a killer. He thought he could get away with this. And, we learned from his classmates at Washington State, where he was in the PhD program, that he was always talkative in class. And he was, just like everybody has said, he was a really smart guy. But when it came time to talk about the Idaho murders, the murders in Moscow, Idaho, right down the road, this suddenly talkative, really bright guy in class, started to become quiet, and he didn't want to talk about that in person. And I found that really interesting and telling.
Another thing, I want to go back to the shoe print, and that's where you're going to come again, Cheryl. But to Dr. Angie joining us, I read a lot about people that knew him, what they had to say. I was reading the comments of his downstairs neighbor, one of them. And the neighbor said that he would often come up and try to create conversations, and he would become very loquacious, very gregarious, to the point the friend, I guess you could call him, the neighbor, would think he was going to be late to where he was going, so he started avoiding Kohberger. And they kept trying to get together. And I'm hearing more and more that people just innately just avoided him.
Nancy, psychopaths are very empty inside, okay? And So that means that they're always trying to excite themselves or stimulate themselves. And they can be okay socially, but this guy was going out of his way to make conversation with people because he lacks good boundaries. That's the same reason he was trying to touch this girl that he went on this Tinder date with. He lacks all kinds of boundaries. He's trying to fit in society, but he knows deep down inside of himself that he does not fit in. And so that's why the loquacious talking to other people and trying to.
Just wanted to do a little shout out to you guys really quick. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate you guys spending a little bit of your evening on my live with me. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do so. We have 405 people in the chat right now. If we could get everybody to like the video, that would mean the world to me. All you have to do is just hit that like button. Doesn't take too long to do. We are watching Nancy Grace's latest podcast. She just came out with this evening. She's actually live, I believe, doing it, but we're just a little behind on it. So I will go ahead and get back to it. Also, before I do, I want to share this tab with you. We are at 4,020 subscribers. We went over the 4,000 mark. Oh my gosh, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. It really does mean a lot to me. It helps me be able to put out, when you guys subscribe and like the videos, it makes me able to put more content out for you guys. Sorry about that. I couldn't talk. You guys got me all tongue tied, but, yeah, I really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. And once we hit 5,000 subscribers, that's when we do a giveaway and I get my TitaniumBuilt sign behind me. So my boyfriend told me once I hit 5,000 subscribers, I get my sign. And he told me yesterday, he's like, could you slow down? He's like, you're going really fast. I have to order this thing and has to be custom built. So, but I need that sign and we need to do a giveaway. It's been a while. It's actually only been a couple months, but it feels like it's been a while. Alrighty, I'll get back to Nancy Grace now. Thanks for listening to me, guys. Appreciate it.
Gauge them and asking them to go have coffee with him and whatnot. He's trying very hard to be like other people, but people find his actions weird because he is weird. He really doesn't know, he doesn't have that sense that normal people do of how to interact on a normal basis.
Jackie, could you get our cut 256 ready? It's Brian Flores from Fox 13, but I want to lead up to Cheryl McCollum. Cheryl joining me from the Cold Case Research Institute. Cheryl, the shoe print. I've been studying the shoe print a lot, and of course we need to know more about it before I can be 100% sure. But it seems to me that the shoe print corroborates or confirms what DM, one of the two roommates that lived, stated. We believe it is a Van sneaker shoe print because of the diamond print on the bottom of it. Now, Kohberger was seen entering and leaving court one day in a pair of Vans. I don't see how those could be the same ones, but don't you know they tore his apartment up looking for those sneakers because there'd be blood on them if he kept them. But I'm just thinking about what we can learn. We don't know if the shoe print was bloody, in fact, but I don't really see how it could be anything else but blood for them to have noticed it.
Well, there's a couple things. The footprint is near the home. The critical thing is
it's in the home. It is in the home.
But the direction that it's heading, and that's what verifies what she said, the direction he was going, same thing. So now you have a shoe that he obviously liked that type of shoe. It wasn't an Air Jordan, wasn't a work boot, it wasn't a flip-flop. So if he's got more than one pair of those type of shoes, but if I'm the crime scene investigator and I cannot find a bloody pair of Vans, I'm going to take every one to show again this pattern. This is a shoe that he liked. I've also at that scene got the size. So now I've got, the same size shoe you wear, the direction of the shoe heading out of the house, which is what DM said. And I've got a pair that should be bloody
You're giving me a horrible flashback of the O.J. Simpson trial in the Bruno Mollies. I just want to get that out of my head, where he swore he would never wear those ugly ASS shoes, and then there were pictures from the Inquirer showing him on the side of a football field that he was covering the game wearing Bruno Mollies. So, bad flashback. Thanks for conjuring up that image, Cheryl McCollum. Go ahead.
But the sole of that shoe is going to tell you which van it is. So, for example, if I've got, the diamonds go in one direction or they're in a different pattern than other shoes, I can tell you exactly what van that is because the FBI's got the whole database where I can go in there and tell you precisely what shoe it is. So now if I can go back through his debit cards or credit cards and he has purchased that
and get the receipt to find out if he bought that van. And I do wonder, are these vans he was wearing his own shoes? I mean, they very well could be. It's the same style. It's the same size, we think. And obviously they were his shoes, so they very well could be. I would get those shoes off his feet in a minute and get them tested. Take a listen to Brian Flores in Our Cut 256.
Now, in terms of timeline, we are learning a lot more about that as well. We understand two of the victims, Kaylee Gongalvez and Maddie Mogen, they went to get food at a place called the Grub Truck in the early morning hours of November 13th, roughly around 1 o'clock in the morning. They came back to the home, and around 4 in the morning, Gongalvez apparently was heard saying the phrase, "There's someone here." It goes on to describe a person in there, described as a skinny build, a man who was masked in there as well. Investigators also discovered a latent shoe print, eventually, that had a diamond shape similar to van shoes. If you ever seen shoes like that.
Another issue beside the van shoes, two things spring to mind. In addition to the cell phone data that police obviously have put together, have retrieved, also emerging now is video from various homes. I guess it's their surveillance video. And speaking of surveillance video, I'll circle back to that. But Chris McDonough, you told me about a home that was 50 feet away from the house, the murder house. And I believe it was that home that may have picked up sounds coming from the house. You're right. It may not even be 50 feet, Chris McDonough.
And when we talked about that, Nancy, wasn't it interesting that immediately that video camera was taken down and collected right away by the police? And I agree with you 100%. I think that's going to be the piece of evidence that puts the vehicle coming in, making that 3-point turn. And now that you're there and you feel it, and you see it.
I've got to tell you, it's a feeling now that I'm here of immense heartbreak. There's just, when I was sitting in the Mad Greek thinking about two of the girls working there, it's heartbreaking. And when you see the campus, I just think of all the things they had to live for, Chris. You know, there's their studies and the dances and the parties and the whole future before them. And I look back at this house and it's just like a bloodbath. It's just such a stark dichotomy, Chris.
You know, and I'll go back to your comment about the hunter. You know, this individual, if he is the individual, and allegedly at this point, you know, he's innocent till proven guilty, but he is so, again, I keep saying this, he's so methodical. It's almost as if this was a mission for him, like a daily event in our lives.
Let me throw a question to everybody on the panel. Chris, something you just said, I want to jump off of that. You know, he would send out these questionnaires to felons, rapists, murderers, and say, what were you feeling at the time of your crime? How did you pick your victim? Then we find out that he had tried to get on with the local police department, and you know that would have made him privy to crime scenes and violent crimes. I'm just wondering if all of his interviews and his experiments and his attempt to get onto crime scenes just wasn't fulfilling him. And so he set out to do the murder himself. Because there's no rape that we've heard. Nothing was stolen. So what more motive could there be other than the desire to hunt and murder to see what it really feels like?
There's basically 4 reasons people are killed: money, sex, revenge, and crazy. Now, you're
What
looking
about
at
thrill?
Killing. Well, that falls into
Would
that.
that
It
fit
falls
under
in-
crazy?
Sometimes, or it could fall into sexual. It depends on what you see at the scene. But again, just because there's no sexual assault doesn't mean he wasn't self-gratifying. And I'll tell you something else. You look at Ted Bundy, worked at the Rape Crisis Center. This is a need that he was filling for himself. There was nowhere online where he could get what he wanted, and that's to hear from the people that actually did it. This guy didn't want to hear from the victims. This guy wanted to hear from the killers, and that is critical for us to understand. He wanted to know, how did you feel before, during, and after? And at some point, he wants to experience them, himself. This is not new to us. We see people all the time. They can't, fulfill their own fantasy in their mind, so they turn to porn. Porn's not enough. They go to a prostitute. A prostitute's not enough. They go to, another victim that is completely unsuspecting and has no idea this guy's around. This is what I see in this guy.
Okay, Dr. Angela Arnold, renowned psychiatrist, we're trying to explain it in layman's terms, but the questionnaires and the desire to go to crime scenes, it just wasn't cutting it anymore, if in fact this is the killer. So he set out to find out what it really did feel like to commit a murder.
Well, sure, Nancy, because again, he is empty inside. Okay? He's completely empty. So as Cheryl just said, none of these things were fulfilling him enough. It's also very interesting to me, Nancy, and I think we should point this out on the show, that, he chose to study with a woman named, he picked out who he studied with. He studied with Dr. Catherine Ramsland, and she's written like 60 books on different killers and stuff. He wanted to get in there and study with this particular person about and be very close to the murders. I happen to think that he wants some sort of notoriety from this. I think he wanted to connect with some of these different killers that have been written about, and he wants some notoriety out of this.
To Josh Fialo joining us in the Daily Beast, how does what we're spinning out right now, this theory, fit with what you've learned?
Everybody's kind of commented that he was a real smart guy, but he was also, there was always something about him that was different. And like I said prior, you could see it in his eyes. So for me, what I can tell from what we've learned about how he repeatedly went to the crime scene with his phone, thinking that, cops would never even think it's him, to that one night where he thought to turn off his phone, he went to the crime scene, or left it at home or put it on airplane mode. He thought that he was, the killer expert who was going to go in. Cops were going to check, the phone data, and we're not going to see his phone anywhere in sight. And he thought he took all the other precautions. He did everything he needed to do in order to make sure it never got back to him. So, for me, I think that all these years of studying criminology and studying under professors who wrote, tons of books about, the art of killing or what goes on in the mind of a killer, I think this all kind of turned into him, killing in November. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that had he not been caught, this would have been his only instance, just from what we've learned since his arrest.
Your words are very chilling to me, Josh, but I can't say that I don't agree with you. Crime story.
I don't know if you just saw the guy in here. He said that I set up I said TitaniumBuilt set up an OnlyFans or something. If your girl could do that, she wouldn't be doing YouTube, guys. If your girl could do that, she wouldn't be doing the YouTube. Because I'd be rich, but I can't. I can't do it. Can't do that. No, I mean, I'm not saying praise people that can, but I'm 37. I don't think people want to look at me anymore like that. But thanks. And I'm glad that they announced that they were going to be a troll in the chat before they were a troll in the chat. I love this channel. Really, I do. People are not like, they don't really get bad in the chat in here. They really don't. But don't start now, guys. If you are just now joining us, please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. All of that good stuff. Once we hit 5,000 subscribers, we're doing our next giveaway. And as of right now, we are at 4,047. So we're going to be there before we know it. And I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this. I believe it's a commercial. So let me see.
Stories with Nancy Grace.
I really feel that he's forgotten the idea of behavior.
For information, as they should
I'm just going to go ahead and play it through the commercial so we don't miss anything.
be, to help shore up their case.
Yes, and it's going to be really interesting to find out what else they have in relationship to that behavior. Remember, every behavior has a purpose. And for him to be methodical through this, I really feel that he's forgotten the idea of that the crime scene is going to show just how disorganized, though, he really was. And that all of this rejection that he feels, potentially from society, women, the grudge, the resentment, all of that, I think is built up to this quality where he felt that he was going to be the deliverer of justice, as we've talked about in the past, Nancy. And that's going to be his undoing here, because those pieces of evidence, like the car, like him returning, are going to start surfacing.
I don't know if you guys could hear it, but just in the background, right across the way, there is a steeple of some sort on campus. Just right across the street from campus. And it was chiming the time. And I was just thinking about, as that night went on and those chimes were going every hour after the girls were murdered, and he had gotten away seemingly scot-free. I wish you could feel the feeling here. How would you describe it, guys? It's kind of eerie, and very, very quiet. It's almost like when you walk through a graveyard or you go into an empty church.
Frozen in time.
Like it is frozen in time. Everything is still out. People still have up Christmas decorations. It's like everybody just left the moment these murders happened. I want to go back to you, Cheryl. I really believe police have to shore up their case. They've got to shore it up. You think you've got DNA. The defense could easily argue, hey, I went to a gun and knife convention and I looked at a lot of knives and a lot of guns. That was obviously one of them. That's not mine. We've got to find the murder weapon. We've got to find more DNA right behind me in this home or in his Elantra. What do they need to shore up the case, Cheryl?
Well, let's talk about some really good police work we've already seen. They had his tag number by November 25th. Then the campus police officer spotted it, said, yep, it's here. They had his name before Thanksgiving. So they were already in full swing, even though they were telling the general public, hey, we need your help. We need your help. Once they went into his apartment, I guarantee you there was a plethora of evidence. I bet he had maps. I bet he had writings. I bet he had journals. I bet on his computer he had done all kinds of searches. He was not going to be able to hide this, Nancy, just like his online questionnaire. Can you imagine his topics from when he got his bachelor's and master's to his PhD program? He's done nothing but write about this. And one thing that I bet they're doing is they're collecting all those papers from all those teachers, and they're talking to all of them. And the topics that he chose are going to be powerful. But one thing I'm going to be real interested in are the topics that were rejected.
Mm-hmm. You know, another thing about his meticulous nature, I wonder if he would get rid of all the notes, all the writings, all the computer searches. Of course, anything on computer is going to be in the cloud forever. You can't get rid of that. But I'm just wondering how much they'll actually be able to retrieve what they found in his apartment. You know, he was also a TA, teaching assistant. Did he have an office at work? I would comb through that with a fine-tooth comb. And do you believe, Chris McDonough, that he could actually get rid of all traces of blood? Now, you heard DM say he was dressed all in dark clothing with a mask over his nose and mouth. Do you think he got rid of that clothing? Do you think he got rid of those Van sneakers? Even the socks? Remember the blood that was on O.J. Simpson's socks? Could he? Would he think to get rid of every scintilla of evidence, Chris?
You know, he certainly would think about it. The probability of some type of transfer, of some type of blood, you know, or any type of trace evidence, that you cannot, you know, get away with. And you've seen thousands of cases like that in your court time.
Yeah, I just don't see how he could get rid of all of it. Because if he wore those clothes into the car, I don't care if he got rid of the clothes. How could he get rid of everything in the car? And isn't it correct? Joining me, guys, is our friend from the Daily Beast, Josh Fialo. Josh, it's my understanding that surveillance on the family home in the Poconos, the Kohberger family home, they were out there 24/7. They had to be, because they spot him at 4 a.m. dumping the family trash, his trash, into the neighbor's receptacle. I think it was there that they observed him meticulously cleaning his Elantra over and over, inside and out.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And, you know, I think this is one of the reasons why it took so long to take him into custody.
Who cleans their car outside in the Poconos when it's snowing and freezing cold like it is right here? Who would do that?
Somebody who has something to hide. And, you know, another detail that was picked up while they were surveilling him, you know, in Pennsylvania, was who takes their trash out in the middle of the night. First of all, who takes their trash out in the middle of the night? Second of all, who takes their trash out in the middle of the night and then takes it to their neighbor's yard and puts it in their bin? That's somebody, that tells me you're trying to hide something. And I think that the reason they were surveilling him so much in Pennsylvania was maybe once they got into his apartment, or when they weren't getting the DNA and the evidence they needed back in Pullman, back in Moscow, and they were able to whenever back in Pennsylvania, because he had no clue eyes were on him.
I'm just wondering, I'm right in front of the murder house, and I'm just wondering, Cheryl, Chris, Dr. Angie, Josh, jump in if you have any ideas. Where else could they retrieve DNA or hair, one hair of his at the scene? Because, Cheryl, you and I have been on a lot of homicide scenes. Have you ever noticed that there's always hair in the blood at a murder scene? Always.
Nancy, there's going to be evidence a whole lot of places that I'm sure we're not thinking about. They got evidence off the sheets. They got evidence off the floor. They got evidence off the victim's clothing. There's going to be a transfer too. You know, the Lockhart principle. He left his own hair possibly at that scene. When the victims were fighting, we know some had defensive wounds. They could have his skin under their nail. You know, you just never know. But I know this. The amount that has already been in the arrest affidavit was just enough to get him arrested. They have so
Just
much
enough.
more. Yep.
You know, one more thing before we close out for tonight. I'm not so sure. You got to think about in the probable cause affidavit and anything we have heard from police. I don't know how it ever got started that the victims were actually asleep in their beds. Now, we saw the bloody beds being carried out right behind me. So we do know that the murders took place on the bed, but I just don't see how you can be looking at a TikTok at 4:02, I think it was. 4:12, thank you, Kelly. And then he's leaving. Was he leaving at 4:26? 4:25. I don't think that they were all asleep, Cheryl.
Well, the arrest affidavit says that Xana was on the floor, so we know that. But upstairs on the third floor, if they were in
Hey guys, just want to let you know if you're just now joining us, we are finishing up the Crime Stories with Nancy podcast. Nancy Grace podcast. It just came out this evening as we were doing the live. So make sure that you check out the rest of the live on the replay. We do have a lot of other content in there regarding the Idaho 4 case and Brian Kohberger. He does go to court tomorrow morning. So I do have a live scheduled for that at 10:15 a.m. as well. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to be alerted to the notification for tomorrow. And if you guys could, we have 838 people in here. If you all, or 843 now, if you all could just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, it really means a lot to me and it helps my little channel grow. Thank you guys so much.
Just enough.
more. Yep.
You know, one more thing before we close out for tonight. I'm not so sure. You got to think about in the probable cause affidavit and anything we have heard from police. I don't know how it ever got started that the victims were actually asleep in their beds. Now, we saw the bloody beds being carried out right behind me. So we do know that the murders took place on the bed, but I just don't see how you can be looking at a TikTok at 4:02, I think it was. 4:12, thank you, Kelly. And then he's leaving. Was he leaving at 4:26? 4:25. I don't think that they were all asleep, Cheryl.
Well, the arrest affidavit says that Xana was on the floor, so we know that. But upstairs on the third floor, if they were in the bed asleep and under the covers, you remember the Jeffrey McDonald crime scene photograph? You could tell several of them were asleep. You can tell, even if they're murdered, that they were asleep prior to that. But I do believe that Ethan and Xana were awake. I do believe that.
One thing that is really haunting
agree with
me, I was just going to go to you, Chris McDonough, is when I see how close these apartments are to the murder scene right behind me, and one of them seemingly picked up whimpering. Just imagining those girls whimpering in that house behind me as they were stabbed dead. I'm telling you, if this is not a death penalty case, then we should just abolish the death penalty because we might as well not even have it. To think what these girls and Ethan went through. And don't you know, they are trying to enhance that sound right now. So one day, they're going to play it for a jury. We'll be back here again tomorrow. I hope you can join us here at Crime Stories. I wish you could be with us right now and see what we're seeing and hear what we're hearing. But I'll try my best, my very best, to relay it to you as best as I can. Goodbye, friend.
Yeah, so no, I think I wanted to make sure I saw Isabel's comment because I was thinking that the other day too. She said slim chance of this, but wondered if any of them hit record on their phone like the Delphi girls did. That's what I'm wondering too. I was thinking about that actually last night when I was like reading over the probable cause because, you know, of course they said that Xana had her phone at 4:12, but they also, you know, DM stated that she had heard what she thought was Kaylee at like around the same time. So I'm thinking maybe both of them were still on their phones. If not, at least Xana was for sure because we have that in the probable cause that she was on her phone at 4:12 on the app TikTok. So, and normally if you're on that app, like you just get lost for days at a time. So you know what I mean? She could have had her head like buried into her phone and didn't even know. I don't think that the old guy, no, I don't think he knew that his son did that either. But I think it was very poor choice what he wore that day. And his jacket said, what did it say? Good life. Like living the good life, or it's a good life. It's a good life, I think it said. I'm like, oh, that was just poor kind of taste. Oh, thank you, Insanely Confused. I do. I do have the best intentions. I really do. The DoorDash at 4 a.m. that's the only thing that, well, just being in college and being up late, I could see that, but I just don't understand why it's out on the counter. And the bag doesn't look like it was like touched. Before I want to show you guys, I'm going to show you inside of his apartment, like inside of Brian Kohberger's like apartment here in a minute. Like not his exact apartment, but I was going to bring up his apartment complex, and it gives you like a virtual tour. Let me see if I can find. Let's see. I heard that Jack in the Box restaurant is not in Moscow. Yeah, but it's in Pullman. Yeah, so it is in Pullman. So I think that, so if she ordered the DoorDash, it would have had to have come from Pullman, because I believe that they did have one in Moscow at some point, but it closed down. I bet if I put like, my mom used to work at a Jack in the Box, actually. Okay, so this is the only thing. Well, the seal is broke though, so let's see. Let me get this image up for you. Okay, so there's the bag. The only thing, well, I guess they did drink some of the drink, so she could have taken the bag out there and placed it on the counter. Because that's what I thought in the beginning, that she had just taken the bag after she ate and placed it on the counter. But then I thought, well, the bag doesn't really look like it's really been touched, but it actually has, because the seal's been broken right here. You can see, and you can see the seal's up at the top. And there's lipstick on the cup. So the straw. So right there would show you that it was a girl drinking it, and most likely it was Zaina. I mean, even the lipstick she has on in the picture that she's in right now, it looks like the lipstick on that on that cup. Yeah, DoorDash at 4 a.m. is college life. I actually just ordered DoorDash here in Florida. I was out most of the day. I just ordered dinner late. But yeah, no, I definitely, I order DoorDash all the time. It's ridiculous. I don't cook anymore. I used to cook and now I don't. So if you're just now joining us, thank you so much for coming into our chat. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We are going to do our next giveaway at 5,000 subscribers. We're already almost there. We're going so fast. We are at 4,094. So it's pretty good, guys. Doing pretty good. So can't beat that. And it is like a live count. So when you hit subscribe, it'll live count it. So can't beat that either. Don't unsubscribe, people. If you guys could subscribe to the channel, I am a small channel. It does help me grow. And also like the video, because it sends it out to the algorithm. That way more people can watch it. So why didn't Xana and Ethan hear all the whimpering going on? That's what I'm wondering too. So I'm going to go through the probable cause affidavit. Like, I've been going through it page by page, and I actually have like a whole Google Sheets for you guys to look at, because there's a lot of different things, and I have it color coordinated differently. So I think that maybe what DM heard was like when she thought she heard Kaylee, I think maybe she heard Xana and vice versa, because I feel like you wouldn't really hear things. Like, I think on the third floor, she could probably possibly, she thought she heard Kaylee playing with Murphy. This is one example. I don't believe that Kaylee was playing with Murphy at that time. I believe that the suspect, most likely Brian, was in the house at the top of the stairs, and he was getting the dog out of the bedroom to put it into the other room to lock it up. And I also think that could have been when someone said like somebody's here, maybe she didn't hear Xana say that. Maybe she actually heard Kaylee say that, because she heard somebody, take the dog out of the room. But that, I mean, that's just my speculation. I don't know. But it's just, I have like a whole page of stuff. We'll have to go through it. I did my live this morning. I usually do a live every day at 10:15 a.m. But I did one this morning at 10:15 a.m. But it wasn't over the Idaho 4. It was over Madalena Kojikari. She's a missing girl out of North Carolina. So we read all of her paperwork today. So it was a slower live. Let's see. What else did I want to show you guys? Oh, yeah, I wanted to show you inside of his apartment. So what do you guys think about the Jack in the Box bag? Do you think that Brian could have placed that order for DoorDash, knowing that somebody would open that front door and he could get in? Or do you think Zaina ordered the food because they had just came back from, having some drinks. She got hungry. She took the bag of food in. Her and Ethan ate the food, and then she brought the food maybe out to the counter, placed it on the counter, and maybe that's when she encountered the suspect. That's very true, Isabel. I'd never thought about that. Unless they had put Murphy in the room and they were, oh, thank you. Yeah, maybe they were, they had the dog already upstairs and had the bedroom shut before the food got there. I think that's what happened. I think that they were upstairs on the phone when they were calling Jack at 2:52 or 2:56, I believe, or one of those times was the last call to Jack's phone. I believe that they were in the room with Murphy at that time going to sleep. I think shortly after that, those girls were asleep. I don't think that they were awakened until Murphy was maybe taken out of the food or out of the room. I think he was taken out by Brian, and then he was put into Kaylee's bedroom. I don't think that Kaylee would have locked her own puppy in her bedroom. She would have had something in there. Even if she was moving, she would have had probably maybe an overnight bag, clothes. Maddie's room is so small. She wouldn't have just put all of her stuff in there. I think that she wouldn't want the dog to chew her clothes, her shoes, her jewelry, her makeup, anything like that. She is a person anyway. I was going to say a girl, but that doesn't even matter because guys don't like their stuff chewed up either by dogs. Oh, yeah, no, not a problem. Have a good night, insanely confused. Have a good night at work. Yeah, he put the dog Murphy in another room. I believe so, too. Yeah, there's no Jack in the Box in Moscow. It would have to come from Pullman to Moscow. That's what is just so strange, too. Okay, so I'm going to show you this before I head off for the night because we have a big live tomorrow, too. And I've been on here for 2 hours and 31 minutes. Woo, gosh. Gosh, guys, we've been on here for a minute today. Okay, so I'm going to play this through, and this is going to be the inside of a 2-bedroom flat at WSU Apartments. These are the same apartments that Brian Kohberger lived in. So it kind of gets us a feel for the inside of his apartment. So it's charming, I guess. And there's no furniture. Yeah, there's no furniture. It's very suspicious. So I'm thinking, okay, so I don't know if you're 20, it's not very charming to me. I don't know. But you never know. I mean, I guess you can always make it look cute because that's what that's what you have to do sometimes, before you get your place. The place is a dump, man. Okay, I'm glad. Okay, I didn't have to say it. Spaniard went ahead and took that and went ahead and ran with it. I'm glad. Okay. Yeah, I don't think it's the greatest, and I do think that could be part of the reason why this tragic crime actually happened. And to be in all seriousness, I think that he could have been very jealous of their whole overall life. So that's my last question for you guys. Do you think that he did this? Do you think he did this to see if he could get away with it, and that the people, the house, none of that really had anything to do with it? He just wanted to know if he could get away with committing the perfect crime. Or do you think that the people in the house were the actual target, and the house was the target, like everything, their life, them, their being, that was the target? He did this to eat the chicken carbonara. He must have heard how good it was. Oh, I didn't even see the crates of ramen noodles in the closet. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that. I might have to go back through and watch it again. Yeah, Zaina is the one that ordered. I'm 21. People my age, especially girls, they pimp out their rooms. Yeah, you're right, musical gamer. I know that, and I know that Kaylee and the girls at their house, they had it all like pretty. They had all those little like good vibe signs with the greenery. They were aesthetically pleasing. They knew how to do a poll. Okay. Let's see. I have to go over to the other part of the channel. Okay. Well, this is like a poll or a question or answer. So, okay, how about we'll do this? Put a 1 in the chat if you think that Brian Kohberger committed this crime to see how smart he was and to see if he could get away with it. So a 1 in the chat if you think he did this to see if he could get away with it, not necessarily targeted. Put a 2 in the chat if you think the people in the house were actually the target. Yeah, he did apply to be a police officer. You're right, musical gamer. We got about the same. Because I'm up in the air. Like, I really am. Because when this case first started, I said that this was targeted. I thought the girls were targeted. I thought it was most likely, I thought it was Kaylee was targeted. And then my boyfriend, he decided to get into this case with me too. And he said, well, I think this was before he even came out to be a PhD student and criminology and all that. He said, I think this is somebody that did this that to see if they could get away with it. And I was like, what do you mean? Like that, I literally was like, you sound stupid right now. And he didn't. I mean, obviously he was correct. So I'm thinking maybe it's a mix of like this, like Susan said, like a mix of 1 and 2 maybe. But yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Women buy a pair of men's work boots and put them on your porch or outside your front porch or your front door if an apartment. Heard that tip on a stream. That's a good idea. My tip was whenever I would go, if I ever went on like online dates, because people are going to go on online dating. They are going to hook up through Facebook, Instagram, Tinder, Plenty of Fish, whatever they've got at their fingertips, you know, they're going to do it. I feel like if you're going to do online dating, my thing that I used to do, I only online dated for like 6 months, I think. But I would take a picture as I was walking to the car of my date. I would take a picture of their license plate. They never knew I was taking a picture of it because, like, you know, they're never like looking out the back door. They're usually like, they would pull up if they didn't come to the house to, you know, come up to the door to get me. And if they did, I just found another way to get it. But I would take a picture of their license plate, send that to my roommate. That way my roommate would have it. If something happened to me and I didn't come home that night, my roommate could be like, hey, this guy, you know, this is this guy, this is his car, make, model, year, go get her. So, because it's hard out there, you know what I mean? To be dating, you have to make sure that you never know who you're going to be coming across. You just don't. I got super lucky and I met the guy that I'm with now. We've been happily together for 7 years almost. And I don't know how I met him I met him on Tinder too, of all things. So I met my boyfriend on Tinder. So I can't say nothing about the Tinder app, but you know. But they were socially, Michelle said they were socially attractive and had many friends and people over constantly. They had spouses and dated and represented all that he didn't and couldn't have possibly a brief encounter between them and him. I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's been a long road with him. No, I'm lucky. I am so lucky. If he's listening right now, thank you for being you. He drove an hour and a half away from me today. All I had to say was, I need you to go an hour and a half away. He said, okay. Literally, okay. I think I'm going to start seeing if he'll do stuff. Don't listen to this part, Vincent. I think I'm just going to see if he'll start doing stuff. I'm just going to send him like further and further away. I'm going to be like, can you go to Indiana for me? Because we live in Ohio. I wouldn't do that, but I'm a really light sleeper normally. It's freaky how normally like quick I am to wake up, but I actually slept through a tornado a few years ago. So yeah. Perhaps he did drive the 1.5 hours to get chicken carbonara, but he's a vegan, so he wouldn't do that. Let me see if I have anything else to show you guys up here. Here, let's share this instead, because they're prettier. They look nicer than he does. But so tomorrow is their court hearing. I'm falling asleep, guys. So tomorrow is the court hearing. It is scheduled at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So my live is at 10:15. So 10:15 tomorrow, 10:15 a.m. Brian Kohberger is going to court. He's actually going to court at 8 a.m. They switched his court date or his court hearing from, I believe it was like 11 or 10 a.m. to the 8 a.m. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much, Spaniard. And then I'm actually going to play this video for you guys one more time because I want to see what was in that closet. Actually, and then before I do that, if you guys haven't liked the video yet, that would be so great. If you could like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. I'm going to let this play through a couple times and then I'm going to hop off of the live and get some sleep. But I want to give this, show you this a little bit more. And I will see what I can do, Spaniard, on getting this picture for you. And you guys have a good evening. I love you all so, so, so much. Where's Tater Tot? There she is. Okay. Or are you Tater Tot? Are you a girl or are you a guy, Tater Tot? I'm going to say that you're a girl, but I don't know because your name's Tater Tot. Tater Tot could be either way, you know? But I love the name. It's so stinking cute. And I'm glad that you're here because we needed somebody named Tater Tot. Oh no, you missed the show, Lonely. Well, don't worry, you can watch the replay. We have 2 hours and 45 minutes to watch, and we have the Nancy Grace podcast in there and all kinds of really, really, really good good stuff. This is what I'm going to leave you guys with. So I'm showing you Brian Kohberger's, the inside of his apartment. Well, it's an apartment at the apartment complex. It's not his exact apartment. Oh, thank you. We try to have a nice chat. We do. We have a really good chat. Oh, thank you, Tomei. And then I am going to actually, I want to show you guys the live. So we started with I don't even know what we started with today. I had it written down, I thought. Let me check. I probably didn't write it down today, but we definitely went up to 100 and something subscribers today. So we are going to that 5,000. We're getting there. 5,000 is going to be there before we know it. And then we do our next giveaway, so I can't wait. Let me show that. Okay. And thank you guys so much for being here, like I said again. And I will go ahead and play the